WRTFM Pegram, WPUC HD2 Laverne. Broadcasting on Alexa.
I appreciate that.
And other smart speakers. 102.5 and 106.3.
1, 2, 3.
I think it was a good game. Had a couple of big plays.
Oh, man, yes, he scored.
The Game.
A Cromwell media station.
Covering your teams and the news of the day.
Ladies and gentlemen.
This is Caroline, Willy, and D-Mase.
It was pleasant to listen to.
With Caroline Fenton, Willy Donick, and former NFL wide receiver Derek Mason.
You are hands down my favorite radio personality of all time.
On 102.5 and 106.3, The Game, and the Game Nashville app.
With no further ado,
Caroline, Willy, D-Mase, 102.5, 106.3, The Game, and the Game Nashville app. We are live from the Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical Game Studios. And, of course, you can watch us streaming live on Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook Live every single day. Our video streaming is brought to you by Superbook. D-Mase, how we doing?
We're doing wonderful.
Willy D, how we doing?
Good morning. Good to see you.
Nick Keezer's behind the glass. How we doing, Nick?
I'm doing great. Ready to go into the weekend, guys.
Let's get into it. Happy Friday to everybody. Well, we heard an update, and I swear that the NFL quarterback carousel gets more and more interesting, yet more and more confusing every single day. I feel like I have whiplash every single morning when I get a new alert that says Aaron Rodgers doesn't want to go to San Francisco, and then Derek Carr is throwing shade at the Las Vegas Raiders at the Pro Bowl games last night, which I did watch that last night. And
Did you?
I did. That's
okay.
how much time I have on my
you
hands.
must didn't have anything. Like, you must have been bored.
So I thought, okay, may as well just, watch Stephon Diggs try and catch a dodgeball. Anyways, yeah, Derek Carr throwing shade at the Raiders last night. So that was something. The Pro Bowl games are something. But what another interesting element into the quarterback carousel, which I think we all already kind of assumed Jimmy Garoppolo's future with the 49ers. But then it came out that Brock Purdy was going to need Tommy John surgery. So I thought, okay, he's going to be out for at least a year. What's the 49ers plan at quarterback? And Kyle Shanahan was asked that exact question about Jimmy G. This was Kyle Shanahan earlier this week.
I wish you guys could see Jimmy being back, and if so, what would that look like?
No, I don't see any scenario of that. Yeah, no, I gotcha.
All right.
Just to clarify, yes, that you heard me right.
Yeah.
He's not coming back.
Jimmy Garoppolo, that guy, the one who was our
Jimmy G?
quarterback.
Yeah.
No.
Him? No, he's not coming
He's
back.
out. Yeah, he is no longer going to be our quarterback anymore. So that
He gone.
He gone. He gone. And that was said with so much sass that Kyle Shanahan, it sounds like, just cannot wait to be rid of Jimmy Garoppolo. And I don't know if Jimmy Garoppolo's a bad guy in the locker room. It doesn't seem like it, but Kyle Shanahan seems to have had enough of Jimmy G. So throw Jimmy Garoppolo on the quarterback carousel. What's his next landing spot? Well, Ian Rappaport has an idea. He was on the Pat McAfee show yesterday. This was Ian Rappaport.
Depending on if Derek Carr is a free agent or not. If Derek Carr is not a free agent, if he gets traded, Garoppolo might be the top. I mean, he's a starter. He's got plenty of experience. He took a team to a Super Bowl. It's not going to be like crazy expensive. I think he'll be really attractive, and I do think he'll be a starter. And I think, there's some other guys that I wonder about too, like, will Baker be a starter? Will Minshew be a starter? Will Tannehill be a starter if the Titans do something with him? Like, it's a good class. I wouldn't say it's like the greatest class ever, but it is a good one.
So if Tannehill is out at Tennessee, that would mean Willis is in?
I'm not so sure about that. I mean, no, I would say let's play it forward.
That would be no.
Let's say Tannehill, they do decide to trade him or cut him. I don't even know. They decide he's not a starter. Rand Carthon is their new GM. He came from San Francisco.
Trey Lance.
Oh, right. No, I don't think so. But Jimmy G might.
Jimmy G in Nashville, Tennessee.
Wrong game. He loves run.
Could you imagine him in Nashville?
And then Pat McAfee goes on to say, I could. I couldn't. I couldn't imagine Jimmy Garoppolo in Tennessee. And I have a lot of gripes with what Ian Rappaport had to say there. First of all, to put Ryan Tannehill in the same area code as Gardner Minshew, I don't think that's necessarily what he was doing, but the main idea here is Ian Rappaport is saying there could be a possibility that Jimmy Garoppolo could come to the Tennessee Titans. And I think that would be such a dumb move to go from Ryan Tannehill to another quarterback that I think is just as good, if not as good, as Ryan Tannehill.
But that is just it's the easiest, like the low hanging fruit.
Yes.
Like, okay, Jimmy Garoppolo, because of Rand Carthon, he comes to Nashville. That is just like, I think my son DJ, who doesn't follow football much, if at all, he probably could have came up with that scenario. Like, oh, Rand Carthon came from San Fran. Jimmy G was in. Oh yeah, that he don't even know anything about the Titans. He would probably say, yeah, Jimmy G is going to the Titans. It's just for me, and I like Ian Rappaport. I do. Wonderful job. But that doesn't take any energy to come up with.
Yes.
It's just it's low hanging fruit. It's connect the dots, which is easy. I can't see, to me, why would you go off unless Rand Carthon just doesn't like, the player Ryan Tannehill, not the person, but the player Ryan Tannehill. If he just doesn't like him, then okay. But I can't see moving off of Ryan Tannehill to go to Garoppolo, who's proven what? He hasn't proven anything in this league other than he can lose you games. I don't get that. It's like people and maybe, I don't know, maybe it's our fault too, because, we sort of went down this rabbit hole with Ryan Tannehill as well, and rightfully so, but we're here and we see it all the time. So and with us it's kind of like, okay, yes, no, it's okay, yes, he is good, but man, it's going to be tough for him to win by himself. He needs some talent around him. What do you think is going to be with Jimmy G? Jimmy G proven he can't win with and San Fran has more talent than the Titans, and he proved he couldn't win the big game with them or take them.
All right, let's get to it though. We had this discussion with Tom Brady when the same guy, Ian Rappaport, was in the same situation on a talk show, a different setting somewhere. I don't know where he was when he started just, to me, spitballing. Right, this is the silly season. This is when you come up with all these ideas. And we really haven't started to see the maneuvering. The Super Bowl hasn't been played yet, right? Mm-hmm. Pretty soon we're going to actually start seeing moves. And then I think some of these reporters will actually have something to report. Right now it's just all ideas, right? It's all speculation. To me, that Ian Rappaport was doing nothing different than any of us, anybody on any talk show, your son, my son, anybody, right? Our parents, pick anybody. You could just come up with that as an idea. I didn't hear any reporting from Ian Rappaport. So to me, when I hear that, I know Ian Rappaport is a good NFL league reporter, but I didn't hear anything that is a report. That's just an idea.
I hope
so
it's
there
not
is
a
a 0% chance that happens. We talked about, he didn't get into the practicality of you would pay Jimmy Garoppolo something equal, maybe even more, than you would already be paying Ryan Tannehill, and you would have to get rid of Tannehill. That makes no sense, and it's a lateral move. So it's just a sexy thing to throw out there as an idea. There's nothing to it. So I'm not getting bent out of shape over it. That's not going to happen. Jimmy G will not be the quarterback here. I'm willing to stake my reputation on that. It will not happen.
It doesn't make any sense. And to your point, D-Mase, the only connection that I can see that why the Titans would bring in Jimmy Garoppolo would be because of Rand Carthon. Is there anything else that would give us any reason to believe other than the fact that Rand Carthon and Mike Vrabel are at the Senior Bowl as well as Ian Rappaport? So I don't know if Ian Rappaport sat down with Mike Vrabel and Rand Carthon and they talked about Jimmy Garoppolo, and maybe for some reason Rand Carthon is infatuated with Jimmy Garoppolo. I just could not fathom a football mind, especially one who spent time with Jimmy G and with that organization and saw firsthand how much talent that team truly had that really was thrown away by Jimmy Garoppolo.
But that's just like any of us sitting there without knowing, right, and just saying, well, because Nick knows so-and-so that knows D-Mase, maybe they could get these two guys together. You know what I mean? Like, we could all play that game. Like, we've all played the game 6 Degrees of Kevin Bacon. At least I have. I know Caroline plays that one.
I've heard that one.
You're right.
Yeah.
I mean, we can play that game, right? You can connect a lot of people through some channels and find, well, maybe, but that's not reporting, right? That's just pure speculation and just wondering. But there's no evidence to suggest that has any chance of happening. So until I hear something along those lines, I'm just going to go ahead. I look at the practicality of that move, and I say it doesn't work. It makes no chance. Even if he might like Jimmy Garoppolo. Ryan Carthon. He might like him, but he knows with the salary cap and the way you would have to execute doing that with your salary cap. By the way, they're over the salary cap right now. They don't have a lot of money sitting around. They've got to deal with Ryan Tannehill's situation one way or the other. Keep him, renegotiate, cut him, whatever. There's gonna be a price to pay there, and you're gonna add a guy who's about the same type of quarterback. It makes no sense. That's just you don't do that
unless you just want to walk away from a guy. Like, listen, he's a good player. Yeah, he's won for us, but the time has come. We just gotta part ways with him. That can happen, but I'm just thinking the likelihood of that happening, because if you make that move and you still end up in the same exact place, Rand Carthon said it, that costs you your job. And I'm not sure that Mike Vrabel is in the business of making lateral moves and still ending up in the same place. I'm really trying to figure this out. Like, can it really possibly happen? I guess anything is possible.
Right, it's
like
possible.
Kevin Garnett said, anything is possible.
That's right. It's possible, but that's way different than reporting that there's real interest there. I'm just trying to lay out what the reality is. Like, anything is possible. Like Louis said, the salary cap is malleable. It's possible they could try to go after Aaron Rodgers, but it's not practical.
Yeah.
It's not going to happen.
And to your point, D-Mase, have they gotten to the point with Ryan Tannehill that they just want to cut ties and move forward? I don't think that they have.
I don't think they have either. I think Vrabel, because of his toughness, Vrabel loves that.
And they might view Ryan Tannehill the same way we do. You're not going to build the future around him. He's not going to be the single-handedly the reason why you win a Super Bowl. I don't think that you can win a Super Bowl with Ryan Tannehill. But I think that his attitude, and also, they're not paying Ryan Tannehill very much money. I think the Titans are looking at that as a really great opportunity. We have a quarterback that we're going to win enough games with. We're not paying him a lot of money. He knows the system. He gets the culture. He fits in the culture. He is fine. Why disrupt that for something that might not even be a step forward, but actually be a step back? Because I was wondering this. In my head, I was thinking, do I just have this, this idea of Jimmy Garoppolo being not a very good quarterback and I'm not willing to get out of it? So I asked myself, if Ryan Tannehill was the starting quarterback of the San Francisco 49ers, would they have a Super Bowl by now? Take Jimmy away, put Ryan Tannehill in. They went in 2020. They had the opportunity to go last year when they were in the NFC Championship, and then again this year. If Ryan Tannehill quarterbacked the 49ers, would they have a Super Bowl by now?
I think they would have went to another Super Bowl with Ryan. Because the way I look at Ryan is this way. He's not going to win you a Super Bowl, but you can get to a Super Bowl and possibly win, but not because of him, but because of the people around him. Vrabel said it and then tried to sort of pull it back a little bit. He said, we got to be great around him. Then the next very offseason, he traded away A.J. Brown. But that's neither here nor there. But when your head coach says, we got to be great around the individual, there's no taking that back, because those are your feelings. You said it. You said it out loud to everybody. And you said it right after the game where you're your most honest. We got to be great around our quarterback. So you can get there with him. He can take you there, but he's not going to be the reason why you won. It's going to be the collective more so than the quarterback.
Yeah, he's good. This
absolutely.
is not to knock Garoppolo.
He's
He's a good quarterback, and he's always played on good teams, the Patriots and the 49ers. And when there's been good talent around him, he's won. His record as a starter is 40-17. That's good. You're doing something right. But I think you could say the exact same thing about Ryan Tannehill. Ryan Tannehill, when he's been on good teams, his numbers are very good, about the same as Garoppolo. That's how I view it. Now he's a couple years older, but again, the money that we're talking, you already have Tannehill. He's here he's under contract for you, so you have to deal with that. You're not going to trade him. I think it's very tough to trade him. He's I think $36 million against the cap as it is. There would be a penalty there, I think, if you trade him there. I think what a lot of people are talking about is, do you rework that contract clear up a little salary cap space for this year, push a little bit more of the pile to the coming years when the cap is going to keep going up, hopefully. And that money-wise, I think, is wiser than trying to cast him aside somewhere and bring in a guy like Jimmy G, who you're going to have to compete with other teams. There's plenty of teams that need a quarterback. They're going to say, well, Jimmy G's better than the guy we got. We don't have a quarterback. So he's going to get paid, right? Quarterbacks get paid.
And that's what I want to get into coming up next, is in terms of who is going to be the Titans quarterback of the future. How are the Titans currently using their leverage? We'll get into that coming up next. And, of course, your phones, 615-737-1025 is our phone number. It's Caroline, Willy, D-Mase, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
Want the latest on college football and Nashville sports? With Stillman and Company.
The coaching staff kept him and got rid of the other guys.
He'll bring opinions and charisma for a full half hour every week.
If he's so great in the locker room, then give him a coaching gig.
Chad Withrow is presented by Two Rivers Ford. Custom order your new Ford from Two Rivers Ford on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
We have line movement. The final drive for the championship is here. There's not a better place to wager on this football title tilt than Superbook Sports. Superbook features the best menu of prop bets in the biz. Plus, you can check out their special odds, boosts, and promotions at superbook.com. With over 3 decades of odds-making experience in Las Vegas, there's not a better place to wager than Superbook Sports. Win some money as one lucky team wins the championship. Just download the Superbook Sports app today, just like me. It is my official sports book. Kansas City and Philadelphia in the big game. Philly now a 1.5-point favorite in the big game against Kansas City. So there has definitely been some movement. It was 2, now it's 1.5. They also got different props up on the Superbook Sports app in Super Bowl MVP odds as well. You can check it all out at superbook.com and download that app today. Visit superbook.com for terms and conditions. Gambling problem, call 1-800-889-9789.
Signs First, Nashville's foremost destination for event signage and physical media. Located just minutes from Broadway, our team of design, production, and installation professionals can help you create an unforgettable event. Stand out. Be different. Go to sfnash.com.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack. Sure, you can post your job to some job board, but then all you can do is hope the right person comes along, which is why you should try ZipRecruiter for free at ziprecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter doesn't depend on candidates finding you. It finds them for you. Its powerful technology identifies people with the right experience and actively invites them to apply to your job. You get qualified candidates fast. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you what you're looking for. The needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. That's ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter.com/radio.
Join the Nashville Area Chamber of Commerce February 14th, 16th, 21st, and 23rd for an exclusive look into what makes Nashville the IT city. Whether you're new to town or a Nashville native, Intro Nashville gives you the opportunity to become engaged and connected to our city's community. During this multi-day immersive program, you'll hear from over 20 community leaders and industry experts whose storytelling unlocks a comprehensive view of our city and region. Gain historical and economic perspective on Nashville while establishing relationships with local business leaders. Space is limited. Register now at intronash.com.
Want to weigh in on the conversation? It's a brain booster. Slide into our DMs. Or just text or call at 615-737-1025. Our phone line is driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Having some fun in the midday.
Yeah, it's awesome.
This is Caroline, Willy, and D-Mase on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
What do you think of Ryan Tannehill, and is he your quarterback?
I don't think that's fair. At this point, we're still evaluating the roster. I am. And that's going to take further conversations with me and Mike. Ryan has been great here. He's won a lot of football games, and I look forward to us winning football games, but I still need more time to evaluate and make those decisions. As you know, this is a quarterback-driven league, and people are hired and fired every day over that position. So I want to spend more time evaluating that position. So I'll have my own opinion, and Mike and I will confer and figure it out.
There you go. That was Rand Carthon on Ryan Tannehill. And look, I have no problem with what Rand Carthon said about Ryan Tannehill. I think that's the right thing to do, because I think that's genuinely how the Titans felt at the time, is maybe we could go back to Ryan Tannehill. Maybe we can explore the quarterback market. But I'll say, I think it is more likely, overwhelmingly more likely than not, that Ryan Tannehill is the starting quarterback for the Tennessee Titans in 2023.
Oh, I remember we said a couple weeks ago, 80 to 85%. I'm sticking by that. I think I'd stay with those probable numbers.
I would
right
say,
now.
85 to 90%.
And now that Brady's out of the mix, it might go to like 88, 90%. Because Brady was at best a 2 or 3% chance. So now that he's out of the picture, I might go 90 for Ryan Tannehill. I just don't see another option that is practical at this point.
I can't see them moving away from Ryan Tannehill. But hell, things happen in the NFL, and moves are made that are surprising, that sometimes you just don't understand why they made the move. So I can't fully commit to like 85, 90%, but I'm leaning more toward, them keeping Ryan Tannehill rather than them not, because it's going to take a few things. It's going to take a few moves for that to happen. It's going to take, a potential trade. Do whoever the team you're trading, do they want to pick up the whole salary? Do you rework the deal before you make the trade? Push some of the money out, like Willy said. There are several things that need to possibly happen. And then if you do, it's like, okay, well, how much are we signing Jimmy G for? How long is this deal for? It's not going to be a 2-year deal or a 1-year deal. I would assume he wouldn't sign a 1 or 2 year deal. It's going to be a 3, 4, 5 year deal for him. So as an organization, do you want to be held to a contract for a guy who is injury prone and has known to not play his best football when you need him to play? So he has 2 things, 2 or 3 things working against him. So you got to try to figure that all out. Try to figure out, how do you trade Ryan Tannehill? And not to say that none of that can be done, because it can be, but that sure is a whole lot to still end up 10-7, 9-8 or 8-9.
That's, again, I come back to the same word, practical. What is a practical solution? There are teams that aren't practical. I think you can argue the Colts, with their quarterback situation, have
not
been
practical.
anything but practical,
No.
right? They've done crazy, desperate things
They've
year
just
in and
put
year
a
out.
Band-Aid on a bullet hole at the quarterback situation over the last 3 or 4 years.
And it has not worked.
And I have zero interest in the Titans getting in the, following the Indianapolis Colts school of quarterbacking.
You see where that got them.
You bring in a veteran for a year, and then maybe they're there for a year or two. You find another veteran. You find another veteran. You're just patching up holes. I have zero interest in the Jimmy Garoppolo sweepstakes. Zero at all. Not is it just not practical, Willie, to your point. I think it's dumb to move on from a quarterback that has been in this system, who was not the problem this past season, to move on to a quarterback that really I could point to was the problem in San Francisco. They couldn't get rid of him fast enough. So I think that the Titans are sticking with Ryan Tannehill. You two think the Titans are sticking with Ryan Tannehill. The ESPN.com, there's an article up that has a quarterback simulator of all of the potential quarterback-needy teams or the potential quarterbacks that could be on the quarterback carousel. That simulator has Ryan Tannehill coming back to the Tennessee Titans, even with, fielding trade offers from Derek Carr. Has the Titans sticking with Ryan Tannehill. And I think about that. I think about all of our thoughts, and I think about that quote from Rand Carthon, that clip that we played coming back from break about, we need to evaluate, so on and so forth, especially where we're at now with Tom Brady retiring and, the whole Aaron Rodgers sweepstakes. It feels so likely that Ryan Tannehill is going to be the quarterback. Yet, correct me if I'm wrong, I think the Titans are the only team in the league that have yet to either commit nor decommit from their quarterback. I mean, Vegas has made it very clear, and so has Derek Carr, that they don't want to be together. San Francisco, Kyle Shanahan made it very clear earlier this week that they are going to move on from Jimmy Garoppolo, and all the other teams that have their
The
quarterbacks,
Giants have made
obviously.
it clear they want Daniel Jones back.
The Titans haven't said for certain or not for certain that they want to move on from Ryan Tannehill or they want to keep Ryan Tannehill. And I've been thinking about that, and I think it clicked with me yesterday. Jared and TD were talking about it yesterday. I think that's the Titans using every single little bit of their leverage with Ryan Tannehill. Because I think the Titans understand that Ryan Tannehill needs the Titans more than the Titans need Ryan Tannehill. Because if the Titans move on from Ryan Tannehill, what's the market for him? Maybe he goes on to be a backup somewhere?
Nah, I think because there are quite a few teams that need quarterbacks. Whether the Giants say they're going to sign Daniel Jones back, they got to work that deal out. Whether they sign him back or not, they can franchise tag him, exclusive franchise tag him, so they can have control over sort of how they maneuver with him. So the Giants are, even though they want their guy, can they sign their guy? I think more than likely they will.
Yeah.
The Jets, they're still in limbo about their quarterback. Will they get Aaron Rodgers? They sure enough seem as if they don't want their first rounder.
Oh, they're selling out for Aaron Rodgers.
Exactly. So if they don't get Aaron Rodgers, then what? There's going to be a market. If the Titans indeed move off from Ryan Tannehill, there will be a market for Ryan as a starting quarterback. Now, will he get the money that the Titans are paying him now? I don't know. But he will find a starting job in his, because he's young enough and he's a good quarterback. He's not a bad quarterback. He's had some bad games, but he's a top 15 quarterback in this league, I believe, when he's fully healthy. He's a top 15 quarterback. So that tells me if the Titans choose to go a different direction without Ryan Tannehill, one, they better make the right decision on who his successor is. Because if you don't, that's going to get all y'all fired. Mm-hmm. I'm just going back to what Rand Carthon said. That's going to get all y'all fired. If y'all kick Ryan Tannehill out, bring in another guy, whoever it is, and it don't work out, all y'all ass is gone, okay?
But in terms of leverage, I would say the Titans have more.
I don't think so.
I think it's 50. I don't think the Titans got more.
The Titans have leverage because he's under contract.
Yeah, they have leverage because if they get away from him, it's not like Ryan can't go out and get another job as a starting quarterback in this league. He can. I don't think the Titans' only leverage is he can't go anywhere because we got him under contract.
Yeah. So let's look at the number of quarterbacks. We've exhausted our talking about Rodgers, Derek Carr, Garoppolo, right?
Green Bay would take him, I'm sure.
See, this is what I'm saying here. Like if Rodgers ends up, and I still think Rodgers will end up on the Packers. I think that they won't be able to do what they want to do. They'll have to eat too much money. I think they're just going to bite the bullet and keep him. I really do. But let's say he's out there. So you got him, Carr, you've got Garoppolo, Jameis Winston, I guess.
Oh, boy.
But look at the number of teams, though, that need quarterbacks. So when I start getting on this list,
Smith will be out there.
Geno Smith might be out there.
Yeah, because you never know. Seattle might.
Why would you get rid of Geno Smith? He just had a great year. Who are you going to get? This is what I get to. What are the alternatives? Once you get past a certain list, I love the term that Tim Hasselbeck used. You're in Trubisky land. Yeah. Right? That's what you're in.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's look at the teams that are trying to get out of Trubisky land, who have been in Trubisky land. Mm-hmm. Panthers, Jets,
Colts.
Now the Buccaneers.
Yeah.
Okay, who's their quarterback?
I don't know.
Blaine Gabbert. I'm joking.
Exactly.
He did say Blaine can get.
He'll be back. He'll be back as their
it.
backup, right? He'll probably be their backup, but they've got to get somebody else. They're not going to give him the starting job. You got the Falcons who are still trying to figure out their thing. So there's just a lot. There are a lot of jobs. There are a lot of teams that would saying, you know what, Ryan Tannehill's starting to look pretty good.
Like Kyle Trask is in Tampa.
Mm-hmm.
So
but the way
if that means anything,
is that who you're going to roll with? You ready to roll with him?
No. Thank you too, Nick. I appreciate it. But no.
Yeah.
I'm not rolling with him.
The way that I look at it is the Titans could say, hey, we need you to take a pay cut. Mm-hmm. We need you to take a pay cut. And that's your option. You can take a pay cut, or we're happy to trade you to Tampa Bay, where you can be there for a year and you can uproot your family and play out the rest of your contract there. If I'm Ryan Tannehill, that doesn't seem very attractive.
See, that's where the rubber meets the road with your question of who has leverage, because I don't think he would have to take a pay cut. Now, I think if the Titans came to him and said, all right,
But if
we've got to get your – well, they might want him to, but his leverage is to say, there's a lot of teams that need a quarterback.
Yeah, just cut me.
Cut me. I'll go. So
I'm not taking a pay cut.
He's got to work, and so they have to work with each other. So I do think it would be more of a win-win. Let's give you a little more guaranteed up front. Let's push the pile back. Let's spread this money out over a couple years. And the win-win is your cap figure goes down. You get more money in your pocket right now, and we can put a better team around you. To me, that's the most practical of the options.
But then you can possibly move on from him depending on how they
you cut him down the road.
Yeah, you can cut him after
and there's
possibly
less
a year.
dead money. Yeah.
You know, so.
And that's what I'm saying is if the Titans are looking at it like we want to give less money up front right now, we're going to have to readjust your contract, and you're going to have to take a pay cut right now.
But is it, Derek, I don't know if you did this at any
it
point in
wouldn't
your career.
necessarily
You get more money. You get more money in your pocket up front.
It would be deemed a
Your
signing bonus
right.
or a roster bonus. So they're just taking
you get guaranteed money.
Say if he's making $37 million. Well, they say, well, we don't want to pay you $37 million this year. Let's say let's get your cap number down to
here.
Get the cap number. Let's guarantee it in roster bonus. This amount in roster bonus. This will be your amount during the season. So altogether, you're going to still get your money, but we're pushing it out. So they can do that. And Ryan might say, yeah, I do it as long as I'm still getting my money. That's all that matters.
Let's get your thoughts on it. 615-737-1025 is our phone number. Caroline, Willy, D-Mase, 102.5-106.3 The Game.
The offseason is underway for the Tennessee Titans. But the work has just begun for the two-tone blue.
The offensive line, as badly as they need another weapon, you have to fix left guard and left tackle.
For all the news and moves, keep it locked right here.
Talking Titans?
We are 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
You can trek through the savannas of Africa. Wait on the magic moment on the Great Plains of North America. Or find the thrills of Patagonia. You can book your dream hunt at the SEI Convention, coming to Nashville for the very first time. Come find your adventure February 22nd through February 25th. It's the ultimate sportsman's market, a place for every hunter. And this year, it's happening Music City style, with special performances by Lee Brice, Big and Rich, The Frontman with Gretchen Wilson, and of course, Leonard Skinner. It's a celebration of the outdoor lifestyle, February 22nd through February 25th. Come find your adventure. Just log on to safariclub.org. One more time, that's safariclub.org. This convention will sell out, so reserve your spot today. Come find your adventure.
Imagine her delight when she unwraps a luxurious spa day from A Moment's Peace, the ultimate day spa and salon in Cool Springs. We're open all day to help you in person or by phone or online at amomentspeace.com. And whether you spend a little or go lavish, you're a thoughtful romantic this Valentine's Day. Time's up, so stop in at A Moment's Peace in Cool Springs across I-65 from Galleria Mall at the intersection of Carruthers Parkway and Bakers Bridge Avenue. Call or click right now, 224-0770. Online at amomentspeace.com.
The National Wild Turkey Federation is celebrating 50 years of conservation delivery during this year's convention and sports show, set for February 16th through 18th at Gaylord Opryland Resort and Convention Center in Nashville, Tennessee. Come celebrate the golden anniversary with members, volunteers, partners, and countless outdoor enthusiasts. You can expect the same great nightly events, quality entertainment in the watering hole, and the latest gear from more than 450 companies featured in their exhibit hall. For more info, go to nwtf.org.
Third and Home is Germantown's bar with a ballpark. Overlooking the Nashville Sounds, you can have the best seats in the house when baseball season returns March 31st. Pro tip, stop by before the game to watch batting practice from the patio and enjoy happy hour food and drink specials. The mouth-watering menu at Third and Home includes signature items such as wings, stuffed breadsticks, classic burgers, and hot chicken and waffles. Third and Home is open Wednesday through Sunday at 11 a.m. Visit thirdandhome.com.
You're gonna feel a puff of air.
Jong's Optometry has set their sights on staffing up.
Try the next line. Hey, Kim, can you tell our 2 o'clock we're running 15 behind? Sorry, we're a bit backed up today.
He needs an optometric technician to keep an eye on it all.
Where are the dilation drops?
Indeed can help him hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. You can schedule and conduct virtual interviews all from your employer dashboard. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
When you want live and local,
If they were just better at the offensive line,
You can be a contender in the AFC again.
they've had more winning seasons than not. 102.5 and 106.3 The Game has you covered. Looking for some national programming?
why do I want to get a running back like that 5 more years?
The AFC now is so deep at quarterback.
Check out 94.9 The Fan. Nashville's home for all things sports is 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and 94.9 The Fan.
Hey, this is Pete Weber. You're listening to Nashville's best sports talk. ESPN 102.5 The Game.
Caroline, Willy, D-Mase, 102.5, 106.3, The Game of the Game Nashville app. Ask D-Mase in less than 1 hour. So make sure to get those questions for D-Mase in, and you will win a fun prize. But let's get to your thoughts. Your calls, your texts, 615-737-1025 is our phone number. Chris in Dixon texts in and says, two says they move on from Tannehill. Okay. One, they find two ways, I think. Okay. 2 ways they move on from Ryan Tannehill. One, they find a young quarterback with a higher ceiling. 2, they find a quarterback for less than $5 million that they feel won't cost them more than 1 or 2 wins. I don't think you're going to find a quarterback.
Who are these guys?
Who are the $5 million guys?
Josh Dobbs. You can.
You're in Trubisky land.
Exactly.
Moving on from Ryan Tannehill to go on to Josh Dobbs just because he's cheap. I don't the money doesn't matter.
Yeah.
I don't
now,
think
Dobbs is a whole other category, right? He is replacement
he's
level.
Less
what
than
I would
Trubisky
say.
land.
Yeah.
I mean, he was struggling to be a backup, and that's no disrespect to Josh Dobbs. That's just the reality of what his career has been. He's been playing fine, but I'm not going to move on from Ryan Tannehill to go to Josh Dobbs just to 1, pay him less, and to 2, be worse.
Well, he said that there's only a difference in 1 win with that. Is that his theory?
You're not going to find a $5 million quarterback that would only cost you 1 or 2 wins that Ryan Tannehill could win you.
Yeah,
1 or 2 wins is a big difference too, by the way.
But it would be more than 1 or 2 wins. It'll be more than 1 or 2 wins. You get a quarterback, you're paying $5 million. It's somebody that's a third stringer somewhere or can barely throw the football. If they do get a young quarterback or a rookie quarterback, you still keep Ryan Tannehill. You want to have Ryan Tannehill because I don't think the Titans are in the business of being a bad team.
Right.
And if you get a young quarterback, even Joe Burrow had his struggles, even though he was injured. His rookie season, he got injured, but he still had his struggles, and Cincinnati wasn't tearing up the world with him as a rookie quarterback. It was subsequently the next following year where he got healthy, got some more weapons, and boom, he becomes Joe Cool. Mm-hmm. But you go out and get a young guy, you're gonna struggle too. So listen, keep Ryan Tannehill, but eventually, and listen, I know it's not easy. Getting your quarterback in. And I was driving home yesterday and I heard Jared say that because he mentioned the midday show and get a quarterback is easy. No, I've never said getting your quarterback was easy. I said they need to get their future quarterback. Hell, any team that doesn't have their future quarterback, they're still dealing with their aging quarterback. They are in the market for a quarterback.
Question.
Exactly.
Everybody
so it's not
in that boat.
It's not easy getting your guy, but eventually you're gonna have to do whatever it takes to get that guy that you believe can take your team to a Super Bowl. Sometimes it works. Sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes it takes a little bit longer with that young quarterback to get to the Super Bowl. We experienced it with Steve McNair. It took some years to get to the Super Bowl with Steve, but we got there. So you're going to eventually, the Titans are going to eventually have to get their quarterback of the future. You can continue to kick the can down the road as long as you want to, but if you're not competing for Super Bowls each and every year, then your only course of action is to somehow, some way find your quarterback, your young quarterback of the future. It's not easy, but that's why they hired Rand Carthon.
Yeah, you have to have your eyes open, and you also have to assess. What options do I have? How desperate am I? What options are out there in a given year? And always have your eyes open. For example, let's talk about the Trubisky land. There are some pretty good stories over the years of guys who were sort of rescued and were much, much better. I think you could argue Tannehill was in Trubisky land at one point, right? He was in limbo in Miami. He was available for a song. The Titans took him. And
traded him for a pack of gum.
Yeah. And I think a couple of kicking tees were in there.
Yeah, they were. You're right.
A couple of kicking tees.
I'll be fair.
And he turned into a pretty good quarterback. Like Geno Smith. I had forgotten he was in the league. Remember, he came up, he played a lot as a young player. He was kind of ballyhooed. He was with the Jets. He kind of crashed and burned. What was his line? They wrote me off. I didn't write back.
Yeah.
I mean, he's a great example of you can maybe in your older years. Rich Gannon, I think, was a great example. Kind of middled around for a number of years, and then boom, he was great. So there are some success stories there. So I'm not acting like that never happens. And sometimes that's the best thing because you don't usually pay for those guys right away. You can get them cheap. But there's probably more examples where it doesn't work, where the guy remains the same guy he's always been.
But you're not getting that guy. Back then, you got a Rich Gannon for $4 or $5 million, but that was a lot of money. Back then, $5,
but
$6
when
million.
they acquired him,
now
what did they get him for? I probably didn't have to pay much at all.
I can't remember the contract, but now
he was on 2 or 3 different teams, right? He was on the Chiefs and the Vikings.
Tampa. Did he go to Tampa? No, he wasn't.
I don't think he was on Tampa, but I remember Chiefs and Vikings before he got to the Raiders for sure. There might have been another team.
Well, what you call it went to the same thing too. They went to Tampa and won a Super Bowl.
Brad Johnson.
Yeah, Brad Johnson.
That's
same
another
thing.
guy.
I was going to say Tom Brady, which is true. One texter texts in and says, has Jimmy Garoppolo ever thrown 3 interceptions in one playoff game? No, but he did throw 2 in the Super Bowl.
Exactly.
So,
come on, that's just...
you can nitpick all day long. And this
Exactly.
texter goes on to say, Tannehill has never been to a Super Bowl. That's true. He's normally terrible in the playoffs, like 80 yards passing in a game, terrible. Just stop with comparing the two. Their regular season stats are similar. Their playoff stats are not. Okay. Let's look at it then.
This is what I go to. Has he been great in the playoffs? No. When they went to the AFC Championship game, they wanted him to throw the ball. How many times did he throw the ball in that game? Like during a 2-week period, he threw the ball no more than, what was it, 30 times? Tannehill. It was something like, it wasn't over 40 times, I know that. But was that because of Ryan Tannehill or is that because of the coaching staff saying, hey, listen, this is who we are as a run team. We need to run the football. This is how we're going to win. We don't want to pass the ball around the yard because they didn't have too many pass catchers back then either. You know, when they went to the AFC Championship game, I think A.J. Brown, he was a young guy, I believe, or was he on the team? Yeah, he was on the team. He was a young guy. They had Corey Davis, so they had a bunch of young players, and they were riding the back because that's the second half where Derrick Henry just went off. Like, he just tore up the league in the second half of the season. So they rode Derrick Henry as long as they could possibly ride him. But you know what Ryan Tannehill did? He made some damn good passes in that game. He made some damn good touchdown passes in that game. He didn't lose them the game. Now, granted, you go to see Cincinnati comes here, and he has that one game where it's just like everything is going downhill. But after that, this past season, when he was healthy, you can't say that it was because of Ryan Tannehill that this team lost. Had they gotten to the playoffs, I don't think it would have been because of Ryan Tannehill that they lost the playoff game. They were just a beat-up, not good team this past season toward the latter part. So whether he played a great game or not, it was going to be hard for them to win in the playoffs.
Okay, so and everybody here listening probably has their own. They watch the games with Tannehill.
Yeah.
So he brought up Garoppolo's playoff stats.
Right.
All right. So I'm not sure what his vision of it is, but here are the numbers. In 2019, they got to the Super Bowl. Yes. How many yards passing do you think he averaged in the 3 games?
I'm
About
looking at it right now, so I'm cheating.
150?
Yeah, 142.
Okay.
142, 2 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. And then last year, he averaged 178 yards passing. So if you're in Tannehill didn't pass for very many yards in the playoff game.
Well,
so
he
that's
didn't
true.
either.
Neither did Jimmy G. 2 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. So his quarterback rating, his passer rating, and by the way, he's not a runner at all.
Right.
74.1 in the playoffs. That's below par, right? That's not Super Bowl winning.
And he has more interceptions than he do touchdowns.
4 touchdowns, 6 interceptions.
In his 6 playoffs games, 4 touchdowns, 6 interceptions.
Yeah.
So it's not. Like we said, he's good. He's been on really good teams. he hasn't been the reason that his team has advanced.
They
right?
made it to the Super Bowl in spite.
Yeah. He was like he didn't pull them down. I don't think he's good, but he doesn't elevate them. Right? He's not the reason they advance.
And I don't want to act like Ryan Tannehill is some sort of Superman in the playoffs.
No. Yes.
Ryan Tannehill was the reason why the Titans did not
he had
beat
the
the
nightmare.
Bengals last year.
He
It
had
was
the
an
nightmare.
absolute nightmare of the game. I don't want to ignore that, but let's not act like Jimmy Garoppolo is going to bring the Titans to the promised land or nowhere where Ryan Tannehill has been able to bring them. 615-737-1025 is our phone number. Some news about another team that I think Titans fans are going to love. We'll get into that coming up next. Caroline, Willy, D-Mase, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
Your home for MTSU basketball is 94.9 The Fan.
Three ball, yes sir!
All the big shots and moments live here. MTSU basketball is on a station built for you. 94.9 The Fan.
Score amazing deals and get ready for the big game at Electronic Express. Come into any of our convenient locations and save big on 4K TVs from your favorite brands like Samsung, LG, Sony, TCL, Hisense, and more. Electronic Express has huge savings in every department. 4K TVs, computers, appliances, smart home, Bluetooth speakers, and more. Save up to 40% with up to 36 months free financing. Get big game ready in-store or online at electronicexpress.com. Electronic Express, we make it happen.
Coration CBD products. Coration began as our family's mission to provide the Nashville community with locally and organically sourced CBD products. We are passionate about providing high-quality CBD products for everyday use. Tinctures, topicals, and pet products too. We are a Pick 10 company. Our hemp is organically grown and produced in Nashville, Tennessee from sustainably sourced non-GMO genetics. All of our products are lab tested. Find all of our products at CorationCompany.com.
Bob's Steak and Chop House in the Omni Nashville Hotel.
Hi, this is Chef Mark again from Bob's Steak and Chop House at the Omni Nashville Hotel. Looking for the next place to hold a business dinner or just a private room for you and your guests to enjoy? Then look no further than Bob's. We believe in top quality food and service without all the distractions. So join us and experience why we've been voted Diner's Choice on Open Table for 6 years running.
Attending an event downtown? Dine at Bob's Steak and Chop House in the Omni Nashville Hotel.
Hey, it's Chase McCabe, and in the past, hair loss was inevitable, but now you have a choice for thicker, fuller hair. Trust the experts with 45 years of experience at Hair Club. They've helped more than 500,000 clients love their hair again. No matter your age, stage of hair loss, or budget, Hair Club can customize a solution for you. And for a limited time, you can get 10% off when you book a free consultation today at hairclub.com/chase. That's hairclub.com/chase.
Start your day with a cup of Joe. Ugh, he's gonna think that's stupid. Wait, what? Robbie Stanley and Joe Rexroad are Robbie and Rexroad. There, that sounds better.
Thank you so much.
Weekdays from 6 to 9 on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app. This is Caroline, Willy, and D-Mase on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Indianapolis, my read, Pat, I'm not reporting this, but my read on this is that the owner really loves the interim head coach, my former TV colleague, the guy that I love, Jeff Saturday, a just tremendous guy. And I think that they just keep bringing in more and more people to see if there's anybody else that the owner would like more than Jeff Saturday. So, hey, Jim, let's try Shane Steichen.
Hey,
Jim,
this guy's cool.
Hey, Jim, let's try Wink Morton. Hey, Jim.
This guy can play the guitar, Jim. Hey, Jim.
What do you think? Looking at Giro Rivera, look at all these guys, Jim. We got some really good cats. I know, but I really like Jeff Saturday.
Jeff.
I really like Jeff Saturday.
Ring of Honor, brother. He's in there. What do you want? The guy loves the show.
Right.
There you go. That was Adam Schefter, the Pat McAfee Show earlier this week. So what I'm hearing is there is a little bit of a butting of heads between Jim Irsay and Chris Ballard in Indianapolis. They are on their head coaching search, and their head coaching search has just been a dumpster fire. They're going into a third round of interviews, which I don't know if I've ever heard of 3 rounds of interviews for a head coach. I've heard the second round, the interviews lasted like 8, 10 to 12 hours. What in the world? And now they're going to their third round, and Jim Irsay just loves Jeff Saturday, just adores Jeff Saturday. And Charles Robinson was on Robbie and Rexroad this morning and was talking about how that probably isn't going to be a very good move.
I think there's a consensus that I don't know how overt they're ever really going to. Everybody believes that Irsay, when it's all done, that it's going to be Jeff Saturday, and that Irsay is going to be the one who, made that call. And they interviewed 6,000 people before they ultimately, came to that conclusion. It's one of those searches where it's weird because you're sitting there and you're going, like, Chris Ballard doesn't want to do this. Like, Chris Ballard, he has no choice, so he's going to go through all these interviews, and ultimately, in either Irsay's going to step back and go, fine, let's hire whoever you think the best candidate is, or Irsay's going to go, yeah, I like Jeff. Like the press conference we had, I made it pretty clear I like Jeff. Nothing's changed since then, other than the fact that Jeff went out there and didn't really do anything to secure this job. I mean, Dan Orlovsky's tweeting about how he had five first quarter leads at the end of the first quarter. It was that awesome. I love Dan, by the way. I love Dan, but I'm like, man, get yourself some friends like Dan. We'll talk about the bare minimum that you do as a big upside.
So it looks like Jeff Saturday is probably going to be the guy in Indianapolis, much to Chris Ballard's dismay, who keeps pushing candidates on Jim Irsay to say, hey, let's interview Rich Bisaccia, who they did. Let's interview Shane Steichen, who is in the building. Mm-hmm. Let's interview Raheem Morris, Rams defensive coordinator, just pushing all of these names, these candidates. And Jim Irsay saying, nope, Jeff Saturday's my guy. And nothing against Jeff Saturday, mm-hmm. but I think that would be the best thing for Titans fans. Jeff Saturday's not a football coach.
Mm. Well, it's not. I think what Jeff is, from what I have, heard from other people that have been around him, whether playing or on television, is that he is a leader. And
he was that when he was a player,
exactly.
too.
Sometimes that's what you want your head coach to be, the CEO and the leader. He doesn't have to be the greatest in X's and O's and all that other stuff, but if he can lead these men, if he can be, if he can get these men to buy into what he's preaching, if he's consistent with these men, and with everybody in the building, if he brings that energy, because listen, when Vrabel got here, he wasn't the greatest at X's and O's, as a defensive coordinator, but the one thing he is good at, he can lead men, period. That's what he does. That's why guys, hey, listen, we will, run through a wall for Vrabel. That's why he get these guys each and every week, whether it be a guy on the practice squad, a guy they bring in that wasn't on anybody's team or that was on somebody else's practice squad. They come in here and he gets them to play to their maximum. I think that's what Jeff Saturday is. Is he an X's and O's coach? Probably not, but he wouldn't have to be that. Only thing he would have to do is hire good coaches around him. Your head coach is only as good as the people that he or she hires. If the people that they hire aren't getting the job done, then you're not going to get the job done and you're going to get fired. If they are getting the job done, you're going to keep the job and you're going to get most of the praise. When in fact, it's the people that you hired that, that do their job in the background, that doesn't get all the fanfare unless you're probably the OC or the DC. But you are the leader of this franchise. You are the guy beside the quarterback. So to me, I don't think it would be a bad hire unless he went in there and, guys just wasn't doing what he was asking them to do. And it doesn't seem that was the case. But as far as, do I think he can get the job done or not? I think he could. But if you're asking him to draw up the plays and be the OC or be the DC or something, no, that's not him. But I tell you what he can do. Being a former all-pro lineman center in this league, a damn good one, then he can coach up that offensive line. He can help coach up that offensive line. Just like Vrabel helps with the defense at times. John Harbaugh, he helped with the special teams, because that was his lane when he was an assistant coach. So it can work. I'm not saying it's not going to work. It can work, but it depends on who he hires to be the OC, DC, and everything else.
I do buy into that. I do think if you are a guy who is the leader, you create the environment. You don't necessarily have to be the brains behind the offense or the defense necessarily. I mean, you can delegate that, right? If you have good people, you need good players. I think it could work, but I do sense the tension between, and it just shows you
that's
that
why it may not
Irsay
work.
is the guy, right? Irsay is calling the shots, just like with Carson Wentz. Once he said, Carson Wentz will not be my quarterback, and he told Chris Ballard, I don't care what you have to do, get him out of here. It wasn't practical. No. They had to give up. They gave up assets to get Carson Wentz. They had to then give up more assets to get rid of Carson Wentz. There was a price to be paid there. There's still that's part of the reason why they're in this dilemma to begin with. Yeah. Right? Because of all the shakeups that Jim Irsay caused himself. Now he's trying to have Jeff Saturday dig him out of that. They're still a ways away from winning, I think. And like you said, Caroline, here, you root for it. You hope for chaos. You hope that they keep screwing it up. Because they used to be pretty darn good.
And I think it's pretty indicative within the building, it's the tension between, and I don't really know if it's really tension, but it's obviously a disagreement where Chris Ballard is trying to lead Jim Irsay down a path that he doesn't want to go down.
Yeah, you're the boss.
But it's your
let me
team.
Just tell you, consider this.
There's a football guy, and then there's the owner. And not that Jim Irsay isn't a football guy, but Chris Ballard is a football guy. He is a general manager for a reason. And the football guy is telling you, hey, let's maybe look at different options. Let's maybe navigate different avenues. And I think that Jim Irsay looks at the Titans and the formula that they have with Mike Vrabel, a former player, and he says, I want that. I want my Mike Vrabel. I want a former player. But I think the difference is Mike Vrabel was a coach before he was the head coach of the Tennessee Titans, albeit not a very great coordinator, but still had coaching experience, had his own coaching tree. And I think that Jim Irsay might be just a little in over his head. And it's no disrespect to Jim Irsay. He's a great guy. Loved watching him on TV. He was a great player, a great leader on that team. But I think, to your point, Willie, Titans fans should be happy about the chaos in Indianapolis because it doesn't look like it's going to get solved anytime soon.
It's crazy how, years ago, the Titans were sort of in this predicament that the Indianapolis Colts are in, trying to find head coaches, and it was just a dumpster fire for a good while. And then, Amy was like, enough of this. I'm taking control. We're going to get a GM, and we're going to get a head coach. And they found the GM and head coach. So now Indianapolis is in sort of that same situation where it just seems like it's chaos. And us, down here, we're like, keep it going. Yeah. Keep the chaos going.
Yeah, have fun with that. Enjoy that. 615-737-1025 is our phone number. Some changes within the Titans building. I want to get D-Mase's thoughts on it since he knows that person. We'll get into that coming up next. It's Caroline, Willy, D-Mase. And ask D-Mase in 30 minutes. Get those questions in for D-Mase. 1025-1063 The Game.
You watch The Game.
Haskins again doesn't get it. Jaguars have won the AFC South.
We talk the game.
The offensive side of the football for the Titans, who should be back next season.
We are The Game. Nashville's best sports talk. 1025 and 1063 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
ElectronicExpress.com. We make it happen.
Getting your guaranteed maximum refund with TaxSlayer feels like discovering a refund tree has grown in your backyard.
I'm the refund tree.
Sawing off its branches.
Hey.
Feeding them through a wood chipper.
My branches! My beautiful branches!
And dancing in its refund rain. Start for free and get your guaranteed maximum refund. TaxSlayer. File fearlessly.
Your Game Center update.
This update is brought to you by the law offices of Amanda J. Gentry. The Houston Texans have their next head coach. D'Amico Ryans was introduced yesterday afternoon after spending the last 2 seasons with the San Francisco 49ers as their defensive coordinator. He expressed his gratitude to be back with the team that he played with 6 years while in the NFL.
To make others feel proud, and that's the recurring theme of all the messages that I've gotten. And, I just correlate to what do we want to do here, for our team. Like, we just want to make the city of Houston proud.
And the number 21 MTSU women's basketball team was upset by UTEP last night, 65-62. It was the Miners' first win over a ranked opponent in over 20 years. And tonight marks the beginning of the All-Star festivities in the NHL. UC Stars represents the Nashville Predators this weekend. The All-Star game is slated for 2 p.m. on Saturday. This update is brought to you by the law offices of Amanda J. Gentry. I'm Nick Kieser for 102.5 and 106.3.
Live from the Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical Studios. WPRT-FM Pegram, WPUC HD2 Laverne. Nashville's exclusive home for the Nashville Predators. 102.5 and 106.3.
A gunny performance. Do your job.
And the Tigers regain the lead.
The Game.
A Cromwell Media Station.
Covering your teams and the news of the day.
Ladies and gentlemen.
This is Caroline, Willy, and D-Mase.
Who is pleasant to listen to.
With Caroline Fenton, Willy Donick, and former NFL wide receiver Derek Mason.
You are hands down my favorite radio personality of all time.
On 102.5 and 106.3, The Game, and the Game Nashville app.
With no further ado,
Caroline, Willy, D-Mase, 102.5, 106.3, The Game, and the Game Nashville app. You can watch us streaming live on Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook Live every single day. Our video streaming is brought to you by Superbook, and we are live from the Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical Game Studios. Ask D-Mase in 30 minutes. Get those questions in for D-Mase, and you will win a nice little prize. But first, I want to get into some Titans news, and it may seem from the outside looking in like it's not a big deal, but I do think it could be indicative of a bigger deal, or maybe a bigger change that we are going to see within the Titans organization. But it came out last night that the Titans have not renewed their longtime equipment manager, Paul Noska's his contract. He's been with the Tennessee Titans for 40 years, going all the way back to the Houston Oilers organization. D-Mase, you knew Paul Hoska. You know him.
Yeah.
From your playing days with the Tennessee Titans. Just kind of your initial reactions and your thoughts on that.
Yeah, Hoss was young when I got there, and everybody, that whole team was young. But yeah, Paul, I'm calling him Paul, Hoss. Hoss was, he started very young there with the Houston Oilers, made the transition here to Nashville, eventually took over as head equipment guy. Him and Will Sheridan, they were together my whole 8 years there and here in Nashville. And Hoss was just a good guy, man. He was, his younger days, he was all about the business, but he never separated, sometimes I think, equipment guys, and you ran into this in college, and it was, this is my stuff, and you can only get one pair of socks or two pair of socks, and that was it. Don't come back. And that's how it was in college. And I'm thinking that's how it's going to be when I get to the NFL, the same way. And it just wasn't that way. Now, you had to earn your stripes, you had to earn, you just couldn't walk back there and start grabbing stuff. Hoss made sure that everything was, together. But if you needed anything, you needed your equipment tailored, you needed gloves, shoes, it didn't matter. Hoss was like, listen, I got it. Let me call your rep. If like you had a shoe deal and your shoes went back there, call your rep, make sure your shoes are there. He was just a Paul. I keep on saying Paul. Hoss was just his name is Paul, people, yes. But we all call him Hoss. But how many people call him Paul? We don't call him Paul. Guys, right? We call him Hoss. It's just, Hoss was a good guy, man. You can sit in his office, shoot the stuff, and, he was just close. That whole team from 97 to 04, that was truly a close-knit team in that locker room. It was, that's why, it was so hard when people, got traded or released. It was just so hard because we all were so close and we all grew up, here in Nashville together. So Paul, Hoss is a good guy, and, it was Joey as well, and Joey's still there. I wonder if they're going to elevate Joey now because Joey's been there. I can remember when Joey was a young kid running around doing his job, and he's still there. So I wonder if they're going to elevate. You would think that if Joey's still there, they're going to elevate Joey now to the head equipment guy. But I don't know. I'm just saying. But, I wish Hoss nothing but, further success in whatever he chooses to do. His son was working there for a while. I remember his son when he was little. He ended up growing up taller than me, and it's just a delight to see see people that were here when you first got here with you, and we all were young, and then you go over there, years later after I come back from Baltimore, and you look at their kids, and their kids are grown now, and their kids are helping out on the football field. It's great. So. Happy for Hoss that he got the opportunity to spend that long with a franchise, but sad that, however it happened, it's just sad that he's not going to be in the building anymore.
I don't know him at all. I just in seeing, how this works with a lot of teams, some people may not understand the person like that who's wrong. Like, you have to know everybody. Exactly. I have to know everything about what you like about your gloves, your shoes, your socks. Not only you, but the other 53, 55, all the guys that are hurt, all the guys in the practice squad. I got to take care of them. I got to delegate. The amount of stuff, and I see this in hockey too, the amount of stuff that a team takes on the road. I can remember one time in college, our 7-foot center brought 2 left shoes on a road trip. So whose problem is that? Is that his problem? No. The managers have got to go find, hey, look, I got to go get this guy a pair of shoes, right? But just think about the responsibility. You're not responsible for your own shoes, right? At the major league level, they bring all your stuff, right? So think about how you've got to be on top of things to execute that job year in, year out. I've just come to appreciate those guys a lot. And, you get to know each other very, very well over a long period of time. It's almost like they're part of your family because you're around them every day.
They are. And the fun part about this is, just sort of thinking back on some things, because there are people at that organization that have been there for a long time, whether it's John Takahashi, who I knew John Takahashi in college. He was a part of the training staff at Michigan State. So when I moved into Nashville, I look up, there's Takahashi too, and I'm happy, like, that's my guy, Tak, And then, and there's other people, and then Tina Tuggle, who's been there forever, people like that you build relationships with, and then you just see how their careers continue to advance, and you're just happy for them. But I can remember, having our bags in there, and, our equipment bags to be, the Friday after we get off the field to get ready to go to the game, you throw all your stuff in there, and the equipment guys, they got to make sure, even though you throw all your stuff in there, they still got to make sure, okay, they got to go through your locker. Yeah. Okay, is this mouthpiece in there? Do we need an extra pair of shoes? Like, it was, whether it's Steve McNair, I got to make sure Steve has all his stuff. Whether it's me, you got to make sure, Mace has his extra gloves, and is this mouthpiece in there? Mace, you got your mouthpiece? You throw everything in there? Yeah, I did. But then they go back and they make sure,
double check,
they look through your locker to make sure everything that you need for the game is in the bag. Because like Willie said, if it's not, yes, I should have put it in there, but then it's their responsibility sort of to make sure you have what you need once you go out on the field. So again, it's a thankless job, and we would always, during the holiday times, we would all, put our money in the pool. It was mandatory that everybody on the team would put X amount of dollars in, and then allow the equipment people and everybody else to sort of divvy it up. And then if you wanted to give extra, say, to Hoss or John Takahashi or Joy, you could. But because their job is a thankless job, nobody thinks about the equipment guy until you have 2 left shoes and you don't have 2, right shoe and a left shoe. Then it's like, or guys slip, and then everybody's saying, well, why doesn't he have his correct shoes? Well, it isn't the equipment guy's fault. The player should have put 2 or 3 pair of shoes, because they tell you at the beginning of the week, like, this is the surface we're playing on. This is what's going to be like. Make sure you put in screw-ins and molded bottoms. So if somebody throws in all molded bottoms and no screw-ins, we're blaming not us, but people are saying, well, why doesn't he have his shoes? And everybody look at the equipment guy. Well, it's really not the equipment guy's fault. It's the player's fault. So they get blamed for things that they shouldn't, and they don't get praised for the stuff that they should get praised for.
And it seems like it's the kind of job that it's not easy and it's
No,
thankless
it's not
and it's
easy.
hard and it's long days. So once you find a guy that you trust, you stick with him.
Yeah.
And it seems to me, and I don't know Haas, but it seems to me everything that I've read is that he is basically ingrained within the fabric of the Tennessee Titans, Houston Oilers organization. He's been there for 40 years.
As soon as you go in that building, Caroline, first guys people run to it's Hoss. It's like I would rather go, you come through the front, they let you in, I would rather go straight to the equipment room or the training room because those are the people I know. So it's like you go in there and you talk to them or you see them on the field when you first get there. And those are the people you beeline for. You may talk to some people before you get them, but like when I see Hoss or John Takahaki from a distance, I start smiling because it's like, we've been through all of this together, and I know my feelings are the same for just about every player that has come through that Titan organization, especially the guys that started in 1997 or 1996 or 95 when Hoss first started on.
So why would Vrabel fire him?
I don't know. And I hate to, on this one, assume or whatnot. It's just, I don't know because unless there was something, and I don't even want to say that, but you just don't understand why, because it's not like, was guys having equipment problems or are you going to bring the injuries on? It's just like,
and
like,
we don't,
why?
well, to be clear,
Yeah.
I just read the article that Paul Kuharsky put out on it. It's not clear if it was like he did something wrong and was fired. His contract did expire, and they decided for whatever reason we're not going to give you a new contract. So I don't know. So it could be any number of things. I don't know if it was a quote firing or sometimes you're fired conveniently when your contract is up. You don't want to can the guy in the middle of it, but you just kind of come to a conclusion. It's time to try something else. So any number of things are possible here.
Or it could be just, okay, his contract is up now, Joey, who's been here, 20-some years as well. Now we give you an opportunity to sit in that seat that Hoss sat in for, 20-plus years. You look at that. If that was indeed the case, then you're sort of like, okay, I get it. Because, Hoss has been, the head guy. Joey's been the guy that has been underneath Hoss. And now it's Joey's turn to sort of elevate. And I don't necessarily see anything wrong with that because these two guys have been working together for so long. And if that indeed happens, I'm sure Hoss got to be happy for Joey that now he gets an opportunity to be the head guy. Now, if Joey's not the head guy, then, okay, there's something else, so.
And I kind of want to get into that, the reason why. And is this an individual instance, or is this indicative of maybe more moves to come? And I want to get into that coming up next. And, of course, your thoughts as well, 615-737-1025. It's Caroline, Willy, D-Mace, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
185! Every team needs a quarterback. 185! That's why we have
Hasselbeck, bootleg, rollout, toss, touchdown.
Tim.
You can run good plays at the right time.
ESPN NFL analyst Tim Hasselbeck gives his expertise on all things NFL.
You evaluate players, and then you're turning them over to the coaching staff.
Every Tuesday at noon.
At the right time.
With Caroline, Willy, and D-Mace. Tim on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Hey, time to tell you about League Company, proud sponsor of our Nashville Predators coverage. They resume in Smashville Tuesday night against the Vegas Golden Knights. All-Star Weekend coming up in South Florida this weekend. In the meantime, League Company is getting you ready. This is that crazy time of year. It's going to be freezing one day. It might be snowing one day. And then all of a sudden you might have to kick on the air conditioning. Next thing you know, in a couple of weeks, it might kick up to 70, 75. My point is you got to be ready for all situations. That's what League Company prides themselves on. If you have a crisis of any kind, heating goes out, broken windows, anything that might pop up, general maintenance, 615-567-1000. Always keep that number ready, top of mind. 615-567-1000 or leaguecompany.com. At home or at work, something comes up, you give them a call. They'll be out there as soon as they possibly can, and they will help you with excellent service. We've called them many, many times before, and we're part of their home maintenance plan, so we get year-round service, and that saves you money over the long term. 615-567-1000 or leecompany.com.
Al Gill here from my friends at Dunkin'. Warm up and feel the love with Dunkin'. Treat yourself and a loved one to a brown butter toffee hot or iced latte, which is superb paired with the bacon avocado tomato sandwich. Be sure to try the all-new stuffed biscuit bites. It's a warm biscuit dough wrapped around a mixture of bacon, scrambled egg, and cheddar cheese. Visit us at our newly remodeled Dunkin' on Briley Parkway in Nashville or the new Dunkin' in Mount Juliet and our other locations throughout Middle Tennessee. Price and participation may vary. Limited time offer. Terms apply.
Hey, you think mortgage rates are still super high? Well, think again. Rates have plummeted to a 5-month low. Hey, Willy Donick here. Call my friends at Loan Pronto now to see how low rates are. It may be time to do that refinance you've been putting off, or time to get back to house hunting. If you're like a lot of people, you've got way too much credit card debt right now, and you're getting fleeced with 20+% interest charges every month, or maybe your current home rate is over 6%. So if that applies to any of you, listen, you can get a quick, easy refi at Loan Pronto. Wipe out all those cards. Close in about 14 days and cut your overall expenses by $500 a month or more. How does that sound to you? Right now, Loan Pronto is doing refis with APRs in the 4s. So call now to take advantage of this big rate drop. Get those credit cards to zero. Start that home improvement project or get out of that 7% loan you were forced into last year. Here's the phone number, 615-499-5780. That's 615-499-5780 or go to loanpronto.com. Equal housing lender, NMLS 166-1781, subject to lender approval, NMLSconsumeraccess.org.
Want to see our smiling faces? You can watch us on Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook Live.
We are good to go.
Presented by Superbook Sports, voted #1 sportsbook in Vegas. Having some fun in the midday.
Okay, that's really fun.
This is Caroline, Willy, and D-Mase.
It's a good source of energy because it's live.
On 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
I think there's a consensus that I don't know how overt they're ever really going to be about it. And again, you're going to continue to hear over and over from Rand Carthon this idea of collaboration. But I think this is all designed for the power center of the roster to be in Mike's hands in terms of, look, what does Mike want, in terms of the players? How does Mike want the coaching staff look? How does he, the process, I think, can obviously be affected by Rand. I think it would be. But we talked about this early on that I don't think I've ever seen, look, coaches don't survive a general manager losing the job and not gain, particularly successful coaches, I want to say, by the way. So Mike's had the track record, okay, there. And by the way, Mike also not only track record internally and what he's done on the field, but the external respect for Mike being somebody that the Titans ever, for whatever reason, parted company with him, he would be unemployed for a nanosecond, okay? He would have another head coaching job, maybe faster than the 6 days that it took Andy Reid to have another head coaching job when he left Philly. That kind of a situation, it shifts additional power to the head coach. And, look, I think they're being very, diplomatic, as they should. I think it's a good working relationship right now. I think Rand and Mike are still getting to know each other. I think they've been above board about the fact that it's not like two guys who have had this long track record of knowing each other and this wealth of experiences, running into each other in the past. And it's two individuals who are still getting to know each other right now. And
there you go. That was Charles Robinson, Yahoo Sports, on Robbie and Rexroad this morning on his interpretation of the balance of power. Rand Carthon, Mike Vrabel, Amy Adams-Strunk. He says he thinks that all of the movements and the hiring of Rand Carthon was designed for Mike Vrabel to be the HBIC, the head one in charge. So I think that's interesting. And I look at this isolated incident, and again, if you haven't seen the news, the Titans have parted ways, or at least did not renew Paul Noska Haas, his contract. He was a longtime equipment manager. He's been with the Titans all the way back to the Oilers days in 1983. Did not renew his contract.
Think about how far back that is. 1983, Houston Oilers. That's not a real good Oilers team. That's post Bum Phillips. That's pre-Warren Moon. That's like Oliver Luck.
Crazy.
That's like Andrew Luck's dad, Oliver Luck. Not some great. I can remember being a teenager in Florida. The Buccaneers, who were very bad most of the time, They had an awful team. The Oilers were just as bad. Oliver Luck was the quarterback. So I'm guessing Haas was at this game. And they called it the Toilet Bowl in the big sombrero, the old Tampa Stadium. Both teams were like competing for the number one pick. And it was like, we might be better off losing this game. We'll pick in front of that. But it was that's a long time ago is what I'm getting at. He has been with that organization through a lot. Imagine just going through the 4 years, D-Mase. Last year in Houston, Memphis, Vanderbilt,
that was
new
bad.
stadium. That period of time for any equipment manager, think about what you had to deal with there.
Yeah, it was tough.
And think about the number of players that he has seen go through this organization. I mean, and
Mike Munchak, the player, Mike Munchak, the head coach.
Right.
Like, he saw it all.
He has been, he's a for lifer. So in D-Mase, you said, maybe it was because they wanted to promote the guy underneath him. And I look at it like, if it's a guy that's been there for this long and is beloved so much, which is what it sounds like from you and from every article and tweet and anything from any former Titan player has said about him, then you can find a way to keep him. But it sounded like Vrabel didn't want to renew the contract, walked in and said, hey, we are not moving on with you. There's Charles Robinson saying he thinks that all of these offseason moves, at least as far as the front office is concerned, is designed so Mike Vrabel can be in power. So I wonder, is this just one of many big moves and big changes in the quote-unquote Mike Vrabel era? Are the Tennessee Titans going to look very different, both from the inside the locker room of guys that fans maybe have never even heard of, all the way to on-the-field moves, player moves, personnel moves, draft moves? Are they all going to have different DNA in this quote-unquote Mike Vrabel era?
Well, if what is being said has any validity, then yes, this organization will start to resemble more of what, the head coach wants, whether it's, coaches on the staff, whether it's those that are in the equipment room, whether it's those that are in the training room, those that are in the weight room. Anybody within that building that has anything to do with the players. And I'm not talking about, the people that are, administrative people upstairs. I'm just talking anybody that deals with the players on a day-to-day basis. It's going to resemble more of the head coach and what he wants. And from that regards, that's it's not a bad thing, unless you start to get outside of your lane. You start convincing people or coercing people to do things that they would normally do, i.e., the training staff. Sort of nudging them to get players back quicker than what they need to. I think, to me, that's getting outside of your lane. You didn't go to school to be in that lane. If you did, great, then be in it. And if it parlayed into a head coaching job, then great. But I tend to think that you didn't take any classes that would qualify you as a trainer. The training staff. So if you start to itch your way in their lane, that's when problems occur. But if not, then I think, everything will start to resemble what Mike Vrabel wants. And again, that's not a bad thing. These are people that, the players interact with every day, and he wants to make sure that their first goal or their first thing is, we're here for the players. That's it. If you're not here for the players, to make the players better, to make their life a little bit easier once they step in this building, then you don't need to be in this building. I want to hire people that are going to make sure that our players have everything that they need, so when they go out on that field, they can play, to the best of their abilities. So if that is indeed the case, then great. Bring them all in. If Mike wants to hire them all and they working toward one common goal, then great. But if he starts to want to be in his lane over here and his lane over here and her lane over here, then that's when you're going to have a problem. That's when you're going to start seeing people leave because they're like, we can't do our job.
How would you feel with your relationship with Haas if you were in the locker room right now and Mike Vrabel made that move?
I would be Because to me, Hoss is like a player. Because it's like he's a part of us. Like, he's in the locker room with us. His office is locker room. Well, I don't know how the new locker room look, but the old locker room is you go in, you can see Hoss at his desk right there. You know, there was a glass, you know, in the door you got to walk through. But Hoss, when you walked in, you saw if Hoss was at his desk, you saw him, what he was, you know, what not. So he was an extension of us. He was a part of us. So as a player, I would be highly disappointed. And, you know, as a veteran guy or a leader on that team, you would sort of like, especially somebody like Ryan Tannehill or Derrick Henry that, you know, and some other guys, you know, whatnot, that Ben Jones that relied so heavy on him as far as your equipment and everything else. They're old. You would want to let them know, like, this is why we did it, you know, and sort of move on from there. But I'm sure those guys are like, they're in shock because the guys that don't even play no more there, they're like, wow, Hoss of all people, we would have never thought that. So I'm sure there are guys in the locker room now that are like, man, we better, because if they can get rid of Hoss, they can get rid of any one of us, you know? So, but it's unfortunate. So, because even as a former player, you feel like, man, that came out of nowhere, you know?
Right.
So,
and how would you feel about Mike Vrabel? Because I think about that move. That's a move that you think would be unpopular, at least from your opinion. And I'm sure those guys in the locker room now feel the same way.
How would I feel about Vrabel? I mean, listen, I am the type of person that I can play under any coach. It doesn't matter to me. As long as there's that mutual respect, then I can, because I'm going to do my job. You don't have to motivate me to work hard. I'm going to work hard. You don't have to motivate me to do this or do that. I'm going to do it. So whatever coach you bring in, whether it Mike Vrabel, whether it was Jeff Fisher, Bill Belichick, Billick, whether it was Harbaugh, it didn't matter. You know, as long as it was that mutual respect, we were good, because I was going to go out and do what I needed to do to make sure I gave the team all that I have. But I wouldn't look at Mike any less. I wouldn't want to know why. But then after that, it's like, I feel bad, but, you know, the ship got to keep going. The train got to keep going. Just like, you know, Hoss might have felt bad, you know, when some players got cut. I'm sure he felt real bad when Steve McNair got cut. You know, but his thing is, I got to keep moving. I got to keep doing my job, you know, and that's how players are. It's like, you hate to see it happen. You know, I can remember when Randall Godfrey was cut or Kevin Dyson, you know, you hated it. Like, what, like, but you understood that, man, the train got to keep going, you know, so.
Yeah, and that's tough. And if this is the Mike Vrabel era, if this is Mike Vrabel making decisions now,
but don't we think he had that? Like, is it possible he's always had that decision? I don't think he just got the jurisdiction to change the equipment guy. That's possible anyway? I don't know, but it's possible, right?
If he had the jurisdiction to change the equipment guy before, why now?
I don't think because the contract was up. I think it looks a little bit better to not renew the contract than to fire someone.
But after that long,
yeah,
you never know. You never know what's going on in there. I'm just saying we can't just come to a conclusion.
Like, I want this to be my last year. You know, I want Joey to be able to be the guy. I don't know. It could be several different reasons. You know, so, but you do hate, as a former player, a guy that you know spent time, in that building, spent time with Hoss.
Right.
You hate to see that happen.
And we wish him the best.
Yep.
Ask D-Mase coming up next. The best question for D-Mase will get an opportunity to win a pair of tickets to see Fitz and the Tantrums at Brooklyn Bowl on February 14th. We'll get into your questions for D-Mase coming up next. It's Caroline, Willy, D-Mase, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
Want a chance to win tickets to an upcoming Preds game?
Yes.
Tune in to Robbie and Rex Road every weekday Preds game day at 8:45 for Preds Pick to Click. Guess a goal scorer and win.
I will take Roman Yost.
Matt Duchene.
Pick to Click is brought to you by TJ Anderson Homes of Benchmark Realty. Visit tjandersonhomes.com to see why they are referred so often. And by Superbook Sports, voted #1 sportsbook in Vegas. Download their app today.
Preds Pick to Click.
We are 102.5 and 106.3 The Game.
In St. Pete, Clearwater, Florida, the fun extends beyond the beach because here the arts are alive, the food is al fresco, and the nightlife is electric. So let's forget the cold and find our place in the sun. Let's explore captivating collections at the Salvador Dali Museum and bask in bay views from the St. Pete Pier. Let's fill up on fresh caught cuisine and catch up over cold craft beer on rooftop patios. Day or night, let's shine. Plan your escape at visitstpeteclearwater.com.
Hi, this is Tennessee Titans tight end and 3-time Pro Bowler Delaney Walker. On the field, I always wore my helmet and pads to make sure I was protected. Life is no different. That's why I got vaccinated and boosted against COVID-19. Protection keeps you in the game. Talk to your doctor and get the information you need to make an informed choice. Gear up, Tennessee. Protect yourself and your family against COVID-19 today.
More information at nflagearup.org/Tennessee.
Want to be the real hero this Valentine's? Genesis Diamonds makes it easy with the Total Romance Package. It's the jewelry, the flowers, the candy, and the dinner out. All the key ingredients for a memorable Valentine's celebration. Here's how it works. When you buy any piece of jewelry for just $99 or more, we'll give you some gourmet chocolates, a bouquet of flowers from Jenny's Flowers, and a gift card toward dinner at STK Steakhouse. We've pulled together some wonderful Valentine gift ideas for the occasion. Rings, earrings, pendants, bracelets, bands, affordable timeless gifts she can enjoy for years. And of course, if you're thinking of getting engaged this Valentine's, Genesis can create the ring of her dreams with our dazzling GIA diamonds and designer mountings. Unlimited possibilities. So bring the sparkle and the romance with one-stop shopping at Genesis Diamonds. Spend just $99 or more with us and get the flowers, the chocolate, and gift card for dinner as our gift. Happy Valentine's Day from Genesis Diamonds, Green Hills and Cool Springs. Limited quantity. See store for details.
102.5 and 106.3 The Game is live and local.
And now, let's meet the starting lineups.
Robbie and Rex Road 6 to 9.
If you are talking about a team, that's building a roster.
Chase and Michelle 9 to 11.
He's still under contract.
It's not always X's and O's.
Caroline, Willy, and D-Mase 11 to 2.
Trades, free agents.
Let's get it going. I think this is a good hire.
And Stillman and Company 2 to 6.
I can give you one of the best coaches in the league.
And don't forget, we're your home for all things Nashville.
He scored!
Nashville's best sports talk. 102.5 and 106.3 The Game.
Hey, this is Philip Forsberg. You're listening to Nashville's best sports talk, ESPN 102.5 The Game.
D-Mase. He played 15 years in the NFL.
Quick throw. Touchdown, Derek Mason.
He had over 12,000 receiving yards.
Midfield, and there he goes. 80 yards for the touchdown.
And now you can ask him anything. Have a question about football or life? Now's your time to ask D-Mase.
We'll welcome you in.
Now on Caroline, Willy, and
D-Mase.
On 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Ask D-Mase is brought to you by Curation CBD. You can find their healing products at CurationCompany.com. Curation CBD products curated for life. Use promo code D-Mase, D-M-A-S-E, at CurationCompany.com for 25% off Curation CBD products. Send in your questions for D-Mase. 615-737-1025 is our phone number, and you will get the opportunity to win a pair of tickets to see Fitz and the Tantrums at Brooklyn Bowl on Tuesday, February 14th. It's one of my favorite concert venues.
Ah.
That is a nice little Valentine's Day
Yeah.
night, I think, for somebody.
Love week. Love
Yeah.
week.
Since it is Love Week, after all, let's get into your questions for D-Mase. Phone lines driven by WilsonCountyHonda.com. Ben is up next. What's up, Ben?
Hey, how are you guys doing?
Doing well.
So my question is, how does it feel to be in Madden, and what's that kind of process like for a retired player to get into it? Does someone contact you from the game, or do you ask, say, hey, can I be in it? I'm just kind of curious.
Yeah, thanks, Ben.
Thank you, Ben. As a player, when you're on Madden, it's just like the greatest thing. You know, you can play with, especially if you're a starter. It's like you can play with yourself, and on a game and you're playing with your, and it's like,
did you play with yourself?
I didn't play it a lot.
Be careful how we word the
On
exactly.
Madden.
On Madden, people.
We know what you
On
meant.
Madden.
Get your head out of the gutter.
I played as myself on Madden, people. I played as myself on Madden, and sometimes just like, man, I'm faster than that, or I caught more. Man. So you always
remember
kind of
that commercial way back with it was Robert Brooks from the Packers, the guy that it was a Brett Favre's receiver, and he tore up his knee, and he was doing that, like he was playing the game, and he had a big knee injury, and in the commercial, he gets caught from behind. He's like, wait a minute.
I'm faster than that.
Yeah, that doesn't show my breakaway speed.
No,
that was a hilarious commercial.
Yeah,
and the guy, the nerdy guy who made the game was like, well, we have your speed down at like 83 now or something, whatever it was.
Because you got injured.
And he's just like, come on.
So guys go back and forth. But as a retired player, they did contact me. I think it was it last summer? They did contact me and asked if I would give them permission to, because they got to pay you for this. So asked with the permission to be on the Madden game, and it was only certain guys that they reached out to. And I was like, great, it's like, yeah, it's not like I went and bought it again, but just to, have your name and your likeness and someone being able to play as you on a video game, that's kind of cool. Even as I age, even as
you're immortal on the video.
Yeah, I'm always
that's what's
there.
cool.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's really cool.
And it's like now I'm hoping somebody please put me on the Indianapolis Colts with Peyton Manning, or either bring Peyton Manning or have Steve McNair and Peyton Manning on the same team and throw it to me, please.
Yeah, Derek, so that way you're can live on forever.
Exactly.
Do you get paid royalties for Madden still?
Not still.
But did you?
But yeah, I did. And every player did.
That's pretty cool.
During that time. So some players got more than the others, and deservedly so. If you were one of those guys like the Bradys and whatnot, then you got a little bit more money. So, but no, it's great to have that. It's now if my son was a Madden guy, he can go on Madden and play as me on a video game.
Say, Dad, you were pretty good.
Yeah,
or he could get on you. Dad, you dropped the pass. I lost to the Colts. Or
I tell him I never
tried to
dropped
throw
a pass.
to you. I can't throw to you again in the clutch. What's
going
on?
I never dropped a pass. Not that I remember anyway.
So the game was flawed then. The game was
exactly.
flawed.
Cody Texan asks, how long do you think it takes for an offensive line to build chemistry, and what variables go into establishing chemistry?
Who was that again?
That was Cody.
Cody. Man, and that right there is a good question. Because people think just all of a sudden when you throw an offensive line together, these guys, they're good to go. Or, okay, you can take one guy away and insert another guy and everything is fine. No, it doesn't work like that with offensive linemen. It takes a bit, a minute for those guys to gel. Now, some guys it takes a little bit, it happens a little bit faster. But, offensive linemen, they tell you, like, listen, it's going to take a minute, for us, because we all got to be, it's like we all got to be on the same page with everything. We all got to basically see the same thing. And the center is basically calling out protections, and then you got to be able to see it as a tackle or guard. You got to work simultaneously with one another at times. So it takes a minute for offensive linemen to get to that point where, it's like we've built this camaraderie. We built this sort of, it's like what do they call it? The dancers, not water dance, synchronized dancing. Yeah, swimmers. Yeah, it takes them a minute, right, to get everything. Exactly. So it takes them a minute. They don't just jump in the pool and they got everything together. That's just like offensive linemen. They're like synchronized swimmers. It's like you got to be able, because if one person is off, the quarterback could be laying on his back and the ball could be going toward the end zone. Somebody could pick it up and score. So it takes a minute for those guys. But once they get it down pat, man, oh, man, you see what's happening in Philadelphia. And the Titans have been through that too, man. Listen, they've had some really good offensive linemen offensive lines in this franchise's history, and it was because they built it the right way, and those guys were able to stay together for a long time and play. I look at Bruce Matthews, B-Hop, Benji, Zach. Who else am I missing? Willie. Stepanowski was here for a while. Long. These guys, man, it took a minute, but once they got together and once they got that thing together, man, those guys were great.
Let's say the Titans bring back just Nate Davis, and you've got 4 new offensive linemen in 2023. How long do you think it would take that? And I know it's different for every person, every player, depending on what level they're at. A season? A few games?
I think it'd take them a part of the season, if not the whole season, to really
new OC, new offensive line coach.
To really get it down. Now, they will play good. I think, they're capable of playing good ball, but to get it to the point where they want it as an offensive line and offensive line coach, it may take a full year.
Yeah, that'll be a big theme that we'll be watching for really all season long, right?
Totally.
With the new OC, new offensive line coach, and probably some new linemen in there. We got some wisecrackers on the text line here, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Wes in Clarksville. Remember, this is Wes. Don't kill the messenger. They had video games when D-Mase played?
Yes,
Wait
Wes.
a minute. Come on, Wes. Jeez.
Yes, we had video games, Wes. But we had, we had not
you
only.
guys used to play in the locker room all the time. I remember
yes,
that.
Man.
Bruce
Not only
Matthews,
Wes,
who was like the oldest guy on the team, he was playing. He was all in.
Yeah, we would find, especially during training camp. That's what we would play it a lot during training camp. Because we had that idle time, like 3 hours, and whether you're sleeping or whatnot. But we had more than just Madden. It was NFL Blitz, which was fun. Because you were able to take a guy and spin him around in the air and then throw him. It was just a lot of fun stuff in those games. But yeah, it was NFL Blitz, Madden, and I think it may have been another one.
C from Franklin says, D-Mase, can you ask Willie this question? What is the plan?
They're still trying to figure out the plan.
Let's not go there today, okay?
Throwback. We're going to have a new plan this offseason.
Dead, Willie.
One texter texts in and asks, do players get excited when the team brings in or drafts players from the college that they went to? And do players that went to the same college stick together?
Yeah, I was, when they brought a few Michigan State guys in.
Are you automatically drawn to them?
Yeah, because they're Sparties, they're Spartan dogs, and as soon as you come in and you recognize they're Spartan dogs, dap them up, and anything you need, I'm here, and you just try to take care of those individuals that come from your university, because you sort of know what their plight was, what they had to go through, what they experienced there at the university, because you experienced some of the same things, if not all of them.
Maybe same coaches.
Exact same coaches. So, you want to bring those guys in, and but if you're on defense, you still want to teach them a little lesson. Exactly.
Here's a good one from Troy, not Tony. He's got his handle there, but I'm going to give a different spin on this, just a slight one. What's the general conversation on the sideline through a game by the players? All football or no? I've heard some really funny stories about during the TV timeouts that are so long. Like when you're at a football game and you're in the stands, you're like, my God, another TV timeout. This is forever.
Gotta go to the bathroom,
yeah.
get a pretzel.
Come on. Let's get on with it. But I've heard some funny stories of sometimes a song will come on if you're just sitting in that huddle.
Oh, yeah.
Does anybody come to mind like a funny story or a wisecracker that would kind of lighten it up?
It was always, not always, but a lot of times it was, in between, timeouts. If a music is playing, some guys start singing and dancing, or if it's really cold, it's like, man, people are trying to rush to the bench to grab a coat just for that 30 or 45 seconds to get warm, and then they'll wait till the last minute to throw the coat off and run back outside, run back on the field. Or, on a bench when you're sitting there and say the defense is on and you've discussed whatever you need to discuss, guys are just talking about any and everything half the time. And, the best time is during preseason, though, because it's like, okay, you get as starters, you get your, 5 plays in. Then you come back to the sideline. you're looking for sunflower seeds, or some candy. I would always when I was here, I would just get these sunflower seeds, and we would all like, who got the sunflower seeds? Who got the sunflower seeds? Whether it was flavored ones, I love the flavored ones. Whether it was sour cream or barbecue,
yeah,
love the flavor. So, and that was another thing. Hoss always had the seeds in the trunk. So we would go to the trunk, get the seeds, and seed shells would be everywhere on the field, and you spin them everywhere, spin them in a cup. But when I left here and went to Baltimore, it was like, all right, I'm trying to graduate from the seeds, because if you eat too many seeds, you put them in the top of your lip, it started to make your gums raw.
Believe me, as a minor league baseball player, we killed a lot of time with the seeds, so I know all about that.
I went from seeds to candy. So I had my little stash of candy that I would pack during preseason. And everybody would, hey, you got the candy? You got the candy?
You got the
so
goods.
I was the plug. I was the plug for the candy. Like, y'all need candy? I'm right here, Some guys would go and eat hot. It was fun on the sideline, especially during preseason, because that's when you could be a little bit more relaxed. During the games and during the regular season, it wasn't quite like that, but you still had your sunflower seeds that you ate every once in a while.
We are right back into your questions for D-Mase coming up next. And remember, the best question for D-Mase will win a pair of tickets to see Fitz and the Tantrums. Well, that was tough to get out. At Brooklyn Bowl on Tuesday, February 14th. Caroline, Willy, D-Mase, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
Every Wednesday at noon.
That fits the mentality of what they're going to do.
Outkick 360's Jonathan Hutton joins Caroline, Willy, and D-Mase to talk all things Titans and NFL.
Much more creative in how you go about calling certain plays.
He's got opinions and insights on the two-tone blue.
That doesn't mean that you can't have great or don't need great quarterback play.
Catch Hutton every Wednesday at noon on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Hey, it's former Titans wide receiver Derek Mason, and I want to tell you about my friends at Creation CBD. As a former athlete, I have my aches and pains all over, especially my knees. I got bad knees, people, chronic tendonitis. I've been searching for a solution for years, believe me, to relieve this pain. And you know what? I found it, and it's Creation CBD. Creation means healing, and that says it all. Creation is locally and organically sourced, high-quality CBD products for you and even your pets. Whether you're an athlete like me, former athlete like Willy, or a former swimmer like Caroline. Creation is locally and organically sourced high-quality CBD products for you and even your pets, whether you're an athlete or whatnot. They even have stuff for your pets. Order now on creationcompany.com and enter promo code D-Mase. That's D-M-A-S-E to get 25% off. That's D-Mase for 25% off. Creation, high-quality CBD products curated for life.
Hey Nashville, TJ Anderson here. With real estate listings, you have to read between the lines. Like breathtaking means yikes. Fixer-upper? It was definitely on an episode of Hoarders. And close to everything? Well, I hope you like the sound of trains. My team at TJ Anderson Homes of Benchmark Realty is ready to help both home buyers and sellers decode the market. Oh, and if the house is charming, it's probably ugly, but has a great personality. Google TJ Anderson Homes, read our reviews, and see why we are referred for a reason. TJ Anderson Homes of Benchmark Realty, 615-432-2919.
Hey, you think mortgage rates are still super high? Well, think again. Rates have plummeted to a 5-month low. Hey, Willy Donick here. Call my friends at Loan Pronto now to see how low rates are. It may be time to do that refinance you've been putting off, or time to get back to house hunting. If you're like a lot of people, you've got way too much credit card debt right now, and you're getting fleeced with 20+% interest charges every month, or maybe your current home rate is over 6%. So if that applies to any of you, listen, you can get a quick, easy refi at Loan Pronto. Wipe out all those cards. Close in about 14 days and cut your overall expenses by $500 a month or more. How does that sound to you? Right now, Loan Pronto is doing refis with APRs in the 4s. So call now to take advantage of this big rate drop. Get those credit cards to zero. Start that home improvement project, or get out of that 7% loan you were forced into last year. Here's the phone number, 615-499-5780. That's 615-499-5780, or go to loanpronto.com. Equal housing lender, NMLS 166-1781, subject to lender approval. approval. NMLSConsumerAccess.org.
Hey, it's Hutton. Interest rates are rising, but not at Spring Hill Heating and Cooling. Replace your old unit fast before new regulations increase prices up to 20%. Get a new unit today at today's price and receive up to $1,500 off or get 18 months of no payments. That's right, no payments until summer 2024. At Spring Hill Heating and Cooling, all new systems come with a 10-year parts and labor warranty. Spring Hill Heating and Cooling, servicing southern Middle Tennessee. Schedule your appointment now at springhillac.com. That's springhillac.com.
One is smart.
This has just been a constant trend for this team.
One is funny.
That's right.
Funny looking, maybe. Chase and Michelle with Chase McCabe and Michelle Knezovic.
Are you listening?
I'm listening.
Everybody's listening.
Weekdays from 9 to 11. Presented by Hair Club. Hair Club. Love your hair. Live your life. On 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app. Having some fun in the midday.
Yeah, that's awesome.
This is Caroline, Willy, and D-Mase on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
I gotta stay.
Ask D-Mase is presented by Curation CBD. Find their healing products at CurationCompany.com. Curation CBD products curated for life. Use promo code D-Mase, D-M-A-S-E at CurationCompany.com for 25% off Curation CBD products. Remember, the best question for D-Mase will win a pair of tickets to see Fitz in the Tantrums at Brooklyn Bowl on February 14th. So happy Valentine's Day to you. Gunnar texts in and says, D-Mase, how often did you and the receivers in your receiving corps handle each other? Targets when someone's in a slump, was in a tough love motivation, just trying to send some positive vibes, just kind of lifting up the rest of the receivers around you?
It was a constant, thing, whether it be out on a football field during practice or during a game, where you're, motivating someone or trying to get someone up if they may have dropped a pass or two or, ran a wrong route or whatnot. Or if you're in meeting rooms and, it's a little bit more, when you're in the meeting rooms, it's a little bit more intimate because then you can sort of open up a little bit more and sort of talk because it's just y'all. It's usually, 5 or 6 receivers and then a coach. So we would talk about everything, any and everything. It didn't matter. I think, for me at least, when I became sort of the elder statesman, I felt that it was my responsibility to make sure those guys knew exactly what was going on, and if they needed encouragement, or they would encourage me. It was reciprocated. But it was a tight knit group, and I enjoyed my wide receiver locker rooms. I was frank with them, and I was honest with them when they needed it. I remember walking in a room one day. We were in Baltimore, and we had not, as a group, we were not playing the way that we should have been playing as a group. And I remember walking in there one day, and I think Coach Shaw that was our coach, or was it Coach Johnson? It might have been Coach Shaw. And Coach Shaw, he was young too at the time, and he's our receiver coach, which he was great. Now, obviously, he went on and became the coach at Stanford, did a great job there, or is doing a great job there. But I remember walking in the room one day, and we hadn't been playing well, and I said, "Listen, guys, all of y'all." It was like 5 guys in there, and I can name all 5 of them. But I'm like, "Listen, you guys, we all got to pick our play up. Y'all, each one of y'all in here have abilities that I don't have. Each one of y'all in here are better athletes than I am." And I was being honest and frank with them. And I said, but the one thing that is holding y'all back, the one thing that is going to keep y'all from surpassing me in a sense is, the consistency, the work ethic. Y'all got the talent. I would point at each and every, like, you're more talented to me. You're faster than me. You catch the ball. I would tell these guys, like, these are the attributes that y'all have that I don't have. Just being honest with them. I said, but one thing y'all y'all are not getting is the work ethic and that having that dog in you, like, you're not going to work as hard as me. You're not. And I'm going to push you, and you need to push me. But the harder you push me, the harder I'm going to work. And you know what's going to happen? That's going to make you better as a player. But as far as physical talent, all y'all are more talented than me. All of them in that room was more talented than me. And I could say that with no hesitation. But I told them, so one thing that's stopping y'all is, the work ethic and that dog mentality in y'all. Y'all got to develop that. Once y'all develop that, sky's the limit for y'all. And those guys started playing better. But that's how honest and real some rooms get. And I think a lot of rooms are, whether it be offensive line, D-line, secondary, especially secondary guys. I know I've heard some of those secondary guys go off on one another. It's like, man, are y'all really friends? Like, but they held each other accountable. Mm-hmm. And that's what I wanted to do in the receiver room. Just, I hold y'all accountable, y'all hold me accountable.
This is a good creative. Now, this is a person that wants the tickets. Now, the problem is I don't see his name here somewhere, but he said, D-Mase, what were the biggest fits and tantrums you witnessed by players or coaches on the field? Trying to get the fits and the tantrums tickets. All right. Okay.
Got
it.
I
like how you're thinking.
You said the stupidest thing ever. You keep talking.
Come on, Nick. Don't be a party pooper.
Probably.
Guy's trying to be creative.
I'm trying to think. I know I've had some. I've had some myself. And I listen, again, a situation, and I hate to bring this up, but hell, listen. Receivers, we are divas. That's just what we are.
Okay. You have to be.
You have to be. It's like, listen, two situations. We were in Carolina, and this is when I was in Baltimore. Now, I may have had some situations here in Nashville, but it was just a little bit different. And I remember, Heimerdinger saying, hey, listen, here, you call the plays, Mason. Here, you call them. And I'm like, nah, I don't want to buy it. But because I had just got finished, pitching a fit over something. I don't know what it was. And Heimerdinger was like, here, you call the plays. Here. So, but he and I would always go back and forth, but we had respect for one another. And I enjoyed Mike as a offensive coordinator, and he helped my career a lot when he got here. But I can remember being in Baltimore, and we were playing the Carolina Panthers, and we just wasn't having a good game. And this is Joe's. I think this might have been Joe's rookie year or second year. And we end up running these we end up running shallow crosses. And one guy goes on the top, one guy goes underneath. We try to get a pick, and you throw it to the open guy. Well, as a receiver, I come underneath the one guy, the other guy goes on top. I think it was Mark Clayton. He goes over the top. And I come open, or it might have been Ty Heap. I come open, but I might have come open a little bit too late, and he had already thrown the ball. And boy, oh boy, and we didn't get the first down, and boy, oh boy, did I pitch a fit. Oh my goodness. Joe and I got into it, finger pointing, grabbing each other, and he and I just got into it. It's such a big deal that, in the locker room they asked us about it. And Joe and I, after that, sort of squashed everything. And I felt real bad as a veteran guy. I felt extremely bad. I'm sitting on the bench, and this is no lie, I'm sitting on the bench, and I'm talking to my chaplain there, Reggie, and I'm like, man, I really messed up. Like, I shouldn't have done that. And he was like, don't worry about it. Just go talk to him, and I'm sure everything will be fine. I went and talked to Joe, and everything was fine. We dapped up and hugged and whatnot. So that happened. And I remember another time, we were at Baltimore Stadium at home game, and we weren't playing well. And I'm like, man, damn this. And this is what I said, damn this. And this is the second half, and I'm like, damn this. I come back to the bench. I take off my shoulder. I'm getting ready to take off my shoulder pads. And in Baltimore, the locker room you go in the locker room right behind the bench. Mm-hmm. So you can go back and nobody really sees you. So I'm pissed. I'm just like, man, they're not getting me involved in, and I hadn't been involved in the game at all up until this point. And when you're talking about after halftime, and I'm like, man, damn this. So I'm buckling my pads. I'm walking down. I'm getting ready to take off my pads and walk in the locker room. Ed Reed grabs me from the shoulder pads. Like, man, don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that. They need you. We need you, man. We need you. Come back up here, and everything will be all right. Sure enough, I end up catching more passes, we end up winning the game.
So he talked you off the ledge.
So he talked me off the ledge. So there's a lot of things that goes on. That's why Ed's like my dude even to this day. That's my guy. But there are a lot of things like coaches going at one another.
Tensions are high.
It is high because it's a tense situation. That whole game for 60 minutes is tense. Whether you're winning or not, there's going to be tension. Coaches going after coaches, arguing at coaches. Offensive coaches arguing at defensive coaches. Defensive coaches are offensive players arguing at defensive players. Defensive players arguing at offensive players arguing at one another, based upon a play. But then as fast as it starts, it ends. And then you never think about it. Like, you go back in the locker room, don't even know that y'all have an argument.
It was like foggy.
Yeah, it's just like, okay, if somebody bring it up, be like, what are you talking about? Oh, you talking about what? Did that happen last game or this game? No, we saw y'all. Oh man, that was nothing. Just keep on going.
No big deal.
Exactly. So, but yeah, there's a lot of stuff going on.
Pretty good stuff on fits and tantrums. I like the creativity.
That was a good one.
Yeah.
Good thought there. That was Ask D-Mase. Shout out to D-Mase. Love to always get in his perspective. But coming up next, we have got a quarterback carousel. So looking at every option, and I feel like I really looked into every possible option that I'm going to bring up to Willy and D-Mase, who they think is going to be the likeliest or not likeliest, if that's even a term, quarterback for the Tennessee Titans next year. We'll get into that coming up next. It's Caroline, Willy, D-Mase, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
ElectronicExpress.com. We make it happen.
Hey, it's Jared. Are you looking to move? If so, do yourself a favor and reach out to my friends at TriStar Moving. You can be assured your move will be stress-free because they've got new utility vans to help with pack jobs to separate your high-value or fragile items from the bulk of your furniture, and their movers are carefully picked and highly trained. No one in the game is doing this. TriStar Moving is raising the standard in the moving industry. When you're ready to move, give them a call. TriStar Moving, 615-640-1219, or online at nationalmoving.org/radio, and tell them Jared Stillman referred you for 10% off. That's TriStar Moving.
Your Game Center update.
The Houston Texans have their next head coach. D'Amico Ryans was introduced yesterday afternoon after spending the last 2 seasons with the San Francisco 49ers as their defensive coordinator. He expressed his gratitude to be back with the team that he played with 6 years while in the NFL.
To make others feel proud, and that's the recurring theme of all the messages that I've gotten, and I just correlate to what do we want to do here, for our team. Like, we just want to make the city of Houston proud.
And the number 21 MTSU women's basketball team was upset by UTEP last night, 65-62. It was the Miners' first win over a ranked opponent in over 20 years. And tonight marks the beginning of the All-Star festivities in the NHL. UC Stars represents the Nashville Predators this weekend. The All-Star game is slated for 2 p.m. on Saturday. I'm Nick Keyser for 102.5 and 106.3 The Game.
For more, follow us on Twitter at 102.5 The Game or visit theGameNashville.com. Live from the Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical Studios. WPRT-FM Pegram, WPUC HD2 Laverne.
Bobby and Rex Road. Chase and Michelle.
Caroline, Willy, D-Mase.
Company.
Nashville's best sports talk.
Crank it up.
102.5 and 106.3.
Cranks it, he scores!
On both sides of the one big possession.
Touchdown, Middle Tennessee.
The Game.
A Cromwell Media Station.
Covering your teams and the news of the day.
Ladies and gentlemen.
This is Caroline, Willy, and D-Mase.
Who is pleasant to listen to.
With Caroline Fenton, Willy Donick, and former NFL wide receiver Derek Mason.
You are hands down my favorite radio personalities of all time.
On 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
With no further ado,
Caroline, Willy, D-Mase, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. We are live from the Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical Game Studios, and we are streaming live on Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook Live every single day. Our video streaming is brought to you by Superbook. Now, I came up with a list of 7 quarterbacks, and I may have missed someone, but I really thought that I thought of every single possible scenario. And I want to go on a little round table and give our odds of how likely or not likely we think this quarterback could be the Tennessee Titans starter in 2023. I don't know if we want to put Vegas odds on it or if we just want to say that's likely or not likely or abso-freaking-lutely not or abso-freaking-lutely. But let's begin with our quarterback carousel. Willie, you go first. Ryan Tannehill.
Okay, so I'm giving.
He's going to do the numbers. I know Willie.
Well, you know me. Yeah, so
numbers man Willie.
I'm going to say that conservatively, it's 90% that Ryan Tannehill will be the quarterback in 2023. I part of me wants to go even higher, but I know that crazy things do happen, so I'm going to leave a little bit. But if I got 10 chips in a little bag, and there's one green chip that it's not Ryan Tannehill, the other 9. Ryan Tannehill, that's how I would look at it. I believe Ryan Tannehill will be the quarterback. It's the most practical choice that they have. Anything else isn't a real net gain. Doesn't mean that they couldn't draft somebody else for the long term, but I think Ryan Tannehill will be the starter next year. I'm saying 90%.
So let's do a quarterback pie.
Okay.
90% of your pie is
okay,
going
so
to
yeah, I'll divvy up that other part of the pie for fun.
All right. That's your quarterback pie. D-Mase, your quarterback pie.
My quarterback pie, unless it's Aaron Rodgers, if there was a high possibility of the Titans being able to get him, I would say.
He's on the list.
I would say it would be a little bit slimmer, but I'm more leaning. My pie is really all on the Ryan Tannehill plate.
Give it a percentage.
I hate percentages.
I know.
If I had to guess, it would be 75%.
75%.
Yeah.
All right.
Because I just know the NFL, like anything, like they can do anything, So I'm going with 75%.
And sometimes you think the most likely scenario never ends up happening.
Never happens. Yeah.
I'm going to say 85% Tannehill.
Okay.
I think it is overwhelmingly more likely than not that Ryan Tannehill is starting quarterback of the Tennessee Titans next year. But I'm going to leave a little bit of leeway, mostly for this guy, Aaron Rodgers. Your quarterback pie for Aaron Rodgers.
Ooh, okay.
You've got 10% to work with, Willie.
10%. Now, that is a good question. How do I fill this 10%? What's the most realistic? Because Rodgers, to me, I was looking at this morning. I think I shared this with you guys during the break. Some of the information on Rodgers' contract. It's very messy. There's a lot that Rodgers would probably need to do. His agent, they would need to move some numbers around because as it sits here right now, if you were to trade for Aaron Rodgers, you would have to compensate the Packers enough for them to eat $40 million of dead cap money before June the 1st.
Or pay the money.
Yeah, and I don't know how that works. I think Aaron Rodgers would have to rework the contract if you're going to get in on that. So you're going to have to eat some of that money too. And then pay him an enormous amount of money for the next 2 years that he's guaranteed. So all that being said, I will say 1% out of that. I just think that's. I think it's 0, but I'll say 1 because anything is possible.
Oh man, it would take a lot.
You've got 25%.
Yeah, no, it would take a lot to get Aaron Rodgers, and I don't think the Titans are willing to give that up. Especially I can see if they didn't have a quarterback, period, anybody that can win them games and whatnot, then I would say the percentages for me would be higher if his contract wasn't the way it is, Aaron's. So I would say there's probably, it's 2% chance.
2%?
Yes, 2% chance he comes here.
I'm going to say 5%. And that's the highest percentage that I'm going to give any of the rest of the quarterbacks on this list, just because I think he's the best quarterback on this list. I still don't think it's very likely. The contract is too much. Dealing with Aaron is just way too much and not something that I would want to get into. Honestly, not something that I think the Titans have any interest of getting into. But he's got raw land in Nashville, and he's the best quarterback on this list. So I would say it's higher percent Rodgers than any other quarterback on this list. Derek Carr.
It does appear that he is going to be set free. The latest thing, I guess he said something to this effect last night. I guess the Raiders were saying, hey, if you give us a couple more weeks, maybe we can trade you. And he was like, that's what's in it for me. Just go ahead and do what you got to do. Cut
Right.
me. I think that's coming up on February 15th, I think is the date.
I think so, yeah.
That he will become a free agent. So he throws his hat in the ring as a free agent. You don't have to give anything up to get him. So I think that would make his percentage a little bit higher. But it gets into the thing that we discussed a lot earlier with Jimmy G, is what's the net gain? You're going to pay Derek Carr a pretty sizable amount. Then you have to rid yourself of Ryan Tannehill. So all that being said, I'll say 3%. I just don't think I don't think it's going to happen. But anything is possible.
Anything is possible in the NFL.
I'm going from a practical standpoint. I don't think Aaron Rodgers is practical. That's why, hence, I did the 2%. I don't think it's feasible for the Titans either. Derek Carr, I give him more of a percentage than Aaron Rodgers, just because of the money. But it's still low for me. But again, with Derek Carr, is that an upgrade from Ryan Tannehill? I really do like Derek Carr. I do, as a quarterback. I think he's sort of the Ryan Tannehill of this year, meaning when Ryan was at Miami, it was like nobody really liked him. It was like, this guy can't play. Look what he did. But then he changed the scenery, and he becomes a better quarterback. So I think of Derek Carr in that same light. He just needs a new place to go. So I'm giving it 10%.
10%. 10%, Derek
That's a little
Carr.
higher. Ooh,
Yes.
Okay.
Wow, D-Mace.
10%.
Okay. I'm giving it a 2% chance that Derek Carr comes here. I
Kind of like milk, 2%.
Exactly.
Some people like 2%.
2% milk. I just don't think he's good. I don't think that he is going to make this team better. I don't think it's going to be worth whatever the Titans would have to do, all of the jimmying of the contract situations and then dealing with Ryan Tannehill, just to go to Derek Carr. I think it's a very low percentage, but he's a veteran quarterback and he needs a place to go, so that's why I'm giving it a 2% chance, but still. Jimmy G. Ian Rappaport said on the Pat McAfee show yesterday he wouldn't be surprised if Jimmy G ended up as a Tennessee Titan.
Famous safe word said on any talk show.
Exactly.
We've learned this over I wouldn't be surprised. So you're not committing.
This is pure speculation.
People will forget you said it in a few months.
It's speculation season.
It totally is speculation season. We're not done with this. We know this topic is not going away for the next few months. And especially with Aaron Rodgers and that June 1st thing with his contract, I would guarantee, I shouldn't guarantee anything, but I think this is going to be unresolved for a while. There's going to be a lot of maneuvering. All that said, with Jimmy G, I'd go slightly less. What did I say? Did I say 3% for Derek Carr? All right, so I'll say 2% for Jimmy Garoppolo.
Okay.
I think it's next to nothing, but I don't know how many more guys we got. I'm
We got
divvying up
7.
my pie.
We have three
We
more
have
guys.
3 more.
Okay.
3 more guys after this.
Good. I'll stick with 2.
For me, Jimmy G sort of, he falls in line, not necessarily because of the money, but he falls in line with Aaron Rodgers in the sense of, Aaron, it's not practical because of all of the money and everything else. To me, I think that's it might be sort of, I can see it as a lateral move, but slightly downward, like in an angle downward, laterally downward, if that's even possible. Slightly downward, that if you got to put one of those, what are they called? What are the thing called? The levelers. You got to put the leveler on it to make sure it's straight, but then you find it's a little bit crooked down. That's Garoppolo. So to me, I can't see the Titans making that deal. So I'm putting it at 3%.
I am going to put it at 3% as well because I put 2% for Derek Carr. I'm going to go a little bit higher for Jimmy G because I view them all as really the same kind of quarterback. They're going to be good if you have pieces around them, if they're going to be elevated, but they're not going to elevate your team. I only give it a slight advantage for Jimmy G just because of the obvious 49ers connection with Rand Carthon. I would see that if they were to make a move. If it was Derek Carr or Jimmy G, you have to pick. I would say probably Jimmy G just because Rand Carthon is familiar with him. So I'm going to say 3%. Jimmy G. Now, I'll lump these next two together. Josh Dobbs and Malik Willis.
As the starter for next year?
Yes.
Oh, man. I would say combined 0.5%. Like, I just don't think there's any way you could go into this year with them battling for the starting job, unless there's another rookie that's in that mix. If you were to trade into the first round for somebody, maybe. Because it's an interesting way. There's different ways to answer the question, right? You could be saying, okay, this is what I predict, and then you could say, this is what I would do if I were the GM, right there. So
whatever you think.
Yeah, I'm going to say 0.5%. If I have to round it up, I'll say 1. But there's just that cannot happen. I mean, that's a rebuild. That's a putting the flag up and saying we're starting over. We're going to clear the decks. We're going to go young, and we're going to start from the ground up. That would be that move. So I'll say 1%.
I would say if you're doing that, boy, oh boy, yeah.
T's and P's.
You're throwing up the white flag.
Yeah.
Like,
and
listen,
they've given no indication that that's the direction they wanted to go. Now, there are people that, text us, call us, and say, blow it up. That would be the blow it up.
And there are so many people. Vols fans are driving me crazy with the Josh Dobbs conversation.
They're a little bit biased.
Just a wee bit.
Do they want you to draft Hendon Hooker too?
Yeah, of course they do.
Of course. Yeah. So Dobbs and Hooker, that's the orange plan.
I've seen people wanting to take Hendon Hooker with the 11th overall pick.
That sounds like a sitcom, Dobbs and Hooker. But no, it is a resounding 0.000 for the both of them.
Yeah, I'm going to give combined, like Willie, a combined 1% because of the weird, strangest, craziest, out of nowhere possibility that maybe for some reason something happens and one of them has to. Like maybe Ryan Tannehill gets abducted by aliens and Mike Vrabel goes insane and think that either of them could be a viable option at starting quarterback. So I'll give it a 1% chance that either of them are the starting quarterback. And I mean no disrespect to either of them, but come on now.
But and listen, if only way they become the quarterback is if they, if it's John Travolta and what was the name of the guy on the movie Face Off when they had to switch faces, where they switch faces.
Man, you're going deep on that.
I forgot the name of the movie. I think it was called Faces, something like that. But it was John Travolta and what is the guy that plays on? He played in some crazy movies. He's a big actor. I forgot his name. But what they did was they switched one face with the other, put his face on. If they could put, Tom Brady's face on one of these guys, then yeah, they'd be a starter. But other than that, nah, they ain't be a starter.
Last option coming up next, and of course your phones as well, 615-737-1025. Caroline, Willie, D-Mase, 1025-1063 The Game.
The college football season never stops. ESPN college football analyst Trevor Manich joins Stillman and Company every Tuesday at 4:30.
They've got to do what Nick Saban in Alabama has done so successfully over the last 10 years.
Presented by Houston Clinic Orthopedics on Nashville's best sports talk, 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
If you came across someone struggling with hunger, how would you recognize them? Would you notice a 16-year-old boy who got his first job?
Not for extra spending money, but to help feed his little sisters?
Or a mother who's in between jobs and sometimes goes to bed hungry so her kids can have dinner? I am the 1 in 8 Americans who struggle with hunger. I am hungered in America.
Hunger can be hard to recognize. Learn why at IamHungeredInAmerica.org. Brought to you by Feeding America and the Ad Council.
Here's a Valentine's reminder from Genesis Diamonds. It's not just the thought that counts, it's the effort too. So let Genesis Diamonds turn your Valentine's Day gift into a grand romantic gesture with our Ultimate Valentine's Day package. Right now, when you spend just $99 or more at Genesis Diamonds, we'll give you gourmet chocolates, a bouquet from Jenny's Flowers, and a gift card toward a romantic dinner at STK Steakhouse. It's just one stop at Genesis Diamonds and you create a total romantic experience. You simply choose which ring, pair of earrings, or bracelet or sparkling pendant best matches your special someone, and we'll take care of the rest. And as always, we'll guarantee the best value price with no commission salespeople. The Ultimate Valentine's Day package. Jewelry, flowers, dinner, and candy from Genesis Diamonds. Sure does make it look like she's worth the extra effort. And that's the thought that really counts. Hurry in now because packages are limited. Genesis Diamonds in Green Hills and Cool Springs.
Hey guys, the new year is here! And for many of us, that means making resolutions to get healthier and in better shape. But if you don't have that youthful energy, if you aren't sleeping well, if you feel like you're walking around in a fog all day, just resolving to get out of bed can be tough, let alone getting back in the gym. But you should know that there are many men feeling this way in these modern times, because low testosterone is affecting more men than ever. And low T can cause all kinds of issues like a reduced sex drive, poor sleep patterns, general fatigue, ineffective workouts. It can even contribute to ED. But the good news is that the medical team at the Tennessee Men's Clinic are experts in treating low T. Many men have experienced life-changing results. Testosterone therapy can help increase energy, workouts, make you feel more rested, and enjoy a greater sex drive too. So make a resolution to find that guy you used to be. Call the Tennessee Men's Clinic. Your initial visit is just $99 and includes a medical consult and testosterone panel. Call 615-208-9090 or go to TennesseeMen'sClinic.com. That's TennesseeMen'sClinic.com. Visit our website to learn more, including side effects. Treatment sex drive results vary.
Anyone want to tell me what happened? Did you miss any of today's show?
It's okay. It's fine. Don't worry.
Subscribe to the Caroline, Willy, and D-Mase podcast on Apple, Spotify, and other podcast platforms, or by going to theGameNashville.com.
All right, I'll give it a shot.
This is Caroline, Willy, and D-Mace on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Caroline, Willy, D-Mase, 102.5, 106.3, The Game and the Game Nashville app. We're playing a little game of quarterback pie here. Now, I have given out so far 6 quarterbacks. Ryan Tannehill, Aaron Rodgers, Derek Carr, Jimmy Garoppolo, Josh Dobbs, and Malik Willis as all options.
Now, they were a package deal, right? Dobbs and Willis were together.
A package deal, yeah, of options for the Tennessee Titans as starting quarterback. So Willy has 90% Tannehill. I have 85% Tannehill. D-Mase has 75% Tannehill and 10% Derek Carr. The final option, the final piece of our quarterback pie isn't necessarily a person, but an idea, rather. Mm-hmm. What's the percentage that the Titans draft a quarterback in this draft? And that is the quarterback in 2023.
You want to go, Willy? Finish yours up?
Yeah, I'll say I have 3% remaining, so I will throw that in there as the 3%.
But you feel good about that 3%?
No, I mean, I think it's going to be Tannehill, but so why is it 3% and not more like 10 or 15% for me? I just think where they are positioned in the draft, what they need for their roster, and the chances that would be the guy. I just think it's probably not the right move this year to draft a starter. Because to me, you're looking for a guy that you think could start, and to do that, you probably have to move up a little bit to do it. So I just think that would be very costly to do. So it doesn't mean they couldn't do it or wouldn't do it, but I would say 3% is about right for that. And I didn't know how you're going to order these, so I feel good about now knowing how I've divvied out my chips.
I probably should have given you a little bit more insight to my pie.
That's good.
But you still found out pretty good. Yeah. D-Mase, your odds of the Titans drafting a quarterback, and that's your starter.
Mine is, I'm going to take the remainder 10% and put it on that. And that is I'm not, reluctant at saying 10%. I'm saying that with confidence. I think that if they have I don't think they would sort of sell the farm to move up to get their quarterback. But I think if they do have an opportunity without having to give away so much, and if that guy is on the board that they like and truly believes can be a franchise quarterback, I think they would make a move to move up maybe 2 spots to try to get that guy. Now, listen, I'm sure there's going to be some trades made within that top 10. And if the Titans could move up 2 spaces without it costing them too much to get their guy, I think they would. But if it costs them too much, and I think they stay at the 11th pick and get the best guy at the position that they need, So I'm giving it a 10%, but it's for me is a good 10% that if they got an opportunity to get their quarterback without having to give up like 2 or 3 first-round picks or 2 first rounders and a second rounder or a third rounder. If they don't have to do that to move up and get their guy a couple of spots, then I think they do it.
And Charles Davis sat down with Jim Wyatt at the Senior Bowl, of course, NFL CBS analyst, and he said at 11 in this draft, it could be possible that one of these quarterbacks that you might think could be at the top of the draft could fall in your laps at 11, and maybe that's a guy that you had a top 5 grade on. I don't necessarily see that happening. I understand the perspective of this doesn't seem like a quarterback class that's going to be 1, 2, 3. Like the 3 best quarterbacks in this draft, the 3 best players in this draft are quarterbacks. But I think it's more so there are way too many quarterback-needy teams for a quarterback to fall to you at 11 that would be worthy of taking at 11. But I'm with you. I leave the remaining, I don't even know what I have left, 6, 7, whatever it is, % to the draft. I'm not saying that there's a 7% chance that the Titans would draft a quarterback in this draft. He's just not going to be your starter.
Yeah.
I think that would be a good scenario. If the Titans did decide to draft a quarterback, hey, sit for a year, Tannehill's our starter. You get the year to develop. Patrick Mahomes had that opportunity. And although I still think Patrick Mahomes would have developed into Patrick Mahomes, clearly it paid off for him to have the year to sit behind Alex Smith, hold a clipboard, learn about the NFL, and then in 2024, if you're ready, then you go. And I think you have to be ready to go in 2024 if you draft him over, in the first round.
Yeah, you have to, because it's signaling to Ryan Tannehill that, listen, your days are numbered. But then again, you can use this as a, because how many years Ryan has left on his deal? 3?
No, I think it's only 1.
Year.
I think it's only one on the existing deal. That's why a lot of people are wondering. I think Tehran has on this quarterback carousel that sort of sparked this debate that you sent to us, Caroline, yesterday. Tehran is in there, basically giving his take, and he has presented taking the 1 year left, spreading it out over 2 or 3 years, knock the cap number down, give him a little more money up front. Because I think, like we talk about a lot, once you get 35 in this league, I think you start to understand that you got to prove it year in and year out.
Yeah.
Right? It's a year-to-year thing, unless you're Tom Brady, right? I don't think anybody thought he was done at 35.
And I don't think even he changed the narrative.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think once you get to that age, you understand you got to prove yourself every year.
Yeah. Because to me, even if you do draft your quarterback, if you are in a position to draft your quarterback this year, I think you would still want to extend that contract to Ryan Tannehill just in case, because I don't think you want to go into a season with that quarterback, your starting quarterback, being under a 1 year deal. If you can extend it, and it's a quarterback battle the second season, and the rookie wins, well, he'll be a second-year player then you can almost keep him as a backup, and work his deal out even longer and keep him there as a backup. And, if anything happens to the rookie, you can always fall back on Ryan Tannehill. So Ryan Tannehill, now that I'm thinking about it, his career might not really be over with the Titans after next season. It might not be, because if they do draft their quarterback, there's a way you can still keep Ryan. Now, some of it would be up to Ryan Tannehill if he wanted to stay, but you could still keep Ryan Tannehill and, let them battle it out, or make Ryan the starter at the beginning of the season. And then, if the rookie figures it out, you put him in, and Ryan's your backup just in case anything happens. So, I mean, I wouldn't say Ryan's career is totally done here after this season. Now that I'm thinking about it, he might be here a little bit longer than what we expect.
I think that will be the thing to watch for, because I do think that's possible, is if they just can't find anything better, he becomes, instead of hey, can he get you to the Super Bowl, he almost becomes, well, he's at least my placeholder. I know he's going to be a pro. He's going to give me what he's got. I like him. He's not a jerk. And until I find the next guy, he's better than the alternative, right? That could happen. I don't know. Ryan Fitzpatrick bounced through. He was like the all-time placeholder, right? Anybody who needed a quarterback, we can't really find anybody. 1 year deal. Ryan Fitzpatrick. Played for like 10 teams, it seems like. So I think Tannehill could be like that if he wants to keep playing. and the team is competitive and they can't find a better solution, if you do the money right, if he's willing to work with them a little bit, understand where he is, like, to me, that would be where the Tom Brady thing comes in. Like, if I can give my team a little bit of a break here, and I'm not trying to break the bank, I've made my money, I want to win. If I can work with them, I might stay around a little bit longer. To me, that's going to be part of the equation.
So who's making this decision? Who's making the decisions for the entire organization? And did we just get a little bit of a peek behind the curtain of what that might look like? We'll get into that coming up next. And back to your phones as well. It's Caroline, Willy, D-Mase, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
Hey, this is Matt Duchene, and this is Smashville.
Running down the left side with Duchene. Duchene scores! Matt Duchene with the overtime winner.
You're listening to the flagship of the Nashville Predators Radio Network, ESPN 102.5 The Game.
Now is a fantastic time to sell in Nashville, but you can't do it without the intel. And no one has better intel than the Gary Ashton team. You may be wondering, what is this intel I keep hearing about? Intel so you can sell your home without any staging or showings. Intel on where to find your next home so you can sell your current one while the market's hot. Intel that helps you win the buyer battle and cash in on your home equity now. Everyone else is getting the same information and competing for the same properties. GaryAshton.com gives you the edge with the best real estate intel in Nashville. No one else even comes close. Plus, the Gary Ashton team is the official real estate agent for the Preds. Get the confidence to sell your home and find your dream address without the stress. Call the Gary Ashton team with RE/MAX Advantage today at 615-301-1650 or visit GaryAshton.com. And remember, don't sell without the intel.
Social Furniture's tax refund sale is going on now. You will save up to 50% in every department. Huge markdowns. You don't want to miss this opportunity to make your home spectacular. We have everything for your home in stock with no waiting. And hassle-free same-day delivery makes it easy. Pay no money down and pay no interest for 1 full year during Social Furniture's tax refund sale. Don't wait. Come in today. Social Furniture on Charlotte Avenue in the Richland Creek Shopping Center. And save, save, save.
Looking for a career with purpose or have that passion for youth development? Boys and Girls Clubs of Middle Tennessee provides a safe place where youth gain the tools to learn, lead, and reach their full potential. And that starts with you, offering competitive pay and free after-school care for employees. Learn more at bgcmt.org.
It's time for the coolest thing you'll do in 2023. Take the leap and support Special Olympics Tennessee at the 2023 Music City Polar Plunge, Saturday, February 25th at Nissan Stadium. Learn more at polarplungetn.com.
Texting enrolls you into recurring automated text messages. Consent not required to purchase. Message and data rates may apply.
Hey, Dan, how you doing? Haven't seen you around the gym for a while.
Yeah, I've really fallen off. Since I turned 40, I just don't get the results I used to get.
Could be lower testosterone.
Lower T?
Yeah, I went through it a while back. Once you hit 40, your body has less free testosterone. I got Nugenix Total T, and it's made a huge difference for me.
I've seen that ad on TV. Is it for real?
Oh, yeah. The patented key ingredient is something called Testofen, which helps boost free and total testosterone levels to help you trim up and stay lean.
And it's made a difference for you?
Man, I feel like I'm in my 20s again, at work, in the gym, and in the bedroom.
Are they still giving out complimentary bottles for people to try it for themselves?
Yeah, you just need to send them a text.
Text SAVVY to 42424 right now for your complimentary bottle of Nugenix Total T, the #1 selling testosterone booster at GNC. Plus, text now and we'll include a bottle of Nugenix Thermo, our most powerful fat incinerator ever, to help you get back into shape fast. Absolutely free. Text SAVVY to 42424. That's SAVVY to 42424.
TSU basketball lives on 102.1 The Ville. Join Coach Brian Petty Collins and the Tigers for every great moment in the OVC. On your home for TSU basketball, 102.1 The Ville and the Ville app.
Hey Nashville, this is Laura Rutledge from the SEC Network, and you're listening to Nashville's best sports talk, ESPN 102.5 The Game.
I think there's a consensus that I don't know how overt they're ever really going to be about it. And again, you're going to continue to hear over and over from Rand Carthon this idea of collaboration. But I think this is all designed for the power center of the roster to be in Mike's hands in terms of what does Mike want, in terms of the players, How does Mike want the coaching staff look? How does he, the process, I think, can obviously be affected by Rand. I think it would be. But we talked about this early on that I don't think I've ever seen, look, coaches don't survive a general manager losing the job and not gain, particularly successful coaches, I want to say, by the way. So Mike's had the track record, okay, there. And by the way, Mike also not only track record internally and what he's done on the field, but the external respect for Mike being somebody that the Titans ever, for whatever reason, parted company with him, he would be unemployed for a nanosecond, okay? He would have another head coaching job, maybe faster than the 6 days that it took Andy Reid to have another head coaching job when he left Philly. That kind of a situation, it shifts additional power to the head coach.
There you go. That was Yahoo Sports' Charles Robinson on Robbie and Rexroad this morning. He says his interpretation of the Titans' offseason moves as far as the front office is concerned, firing John Robinson, the hiring of Rand Carthon, in his opinion, all signs point toward this is the Mike Vrabel show now. And we may have seen a little peek behind the curtain of that last night when the news came down that the Titans have chosen to not extend. And I don't want to say fired, but that's basically firing when you don't extend someone's contract. Longtime equipment manager Paul Noska's contract. He's been with the Titans/Oilers for 40 years, since 1983. D-Mase, you said you loved him. You said players loved him, and I'm sure the players in the locker room now feel the same way. So if Vrabel is calling the shots, I have to ask, why make a move like this for somebody who has been instrumental within this franchise and within this organization? So if Mike Vrabel is calling the shots now, how different is this team going to look? How different is this organization going to look? And even looking retroactively, how many decisions were made that Mike Vrabel didn't agree with, that either worked out or didn't work out? And Jared said the other day, I don't know if he wants to reveal a sourcing, so I'm not going to say it, that he said that Mike Vrabel wanted to draft Desmond Ridder and that John Robinson wanted to draft Malik Willis. So they drafted Malik Willis. It would make sense that Mike Vrabel would want to draft Desmond Ridder, considering where he came from, and his head coach was Luke Fickell, who's Mike Vrabel's best friend. So how different would this franchise have been? Whether it's for the better or for the worse, if Mike Vrabel was calling the shots and will continue to call the shots moving forward, if indeed that is the case.
Well, if he wanted to, where's Desmond Ridder now? Atlanta?
He's in Atlanta.
Atlanta don't even want him, right? What is the deal in Atlanta with him?
Well, he was a first-round pick.
Yeah, he was their first-round pick.
Would he not go to the third round?
He was a third-round pick, yeah.
He took over when Mariota got hurt. He started some games down the stretch. I don't think he did particularly well. Yeah.
So they'd be in the same situation they were in. Maybe he would have played a little bit better. I would assume that he would have played a little bit better than Malik Willis. But would he have been their quarterback of the future? I don't know.
I don't know how they consider him in Atlanta. Maybe they do.
Maybe they consider him, or maybe they are in the market for another quarterback. Well, we will see in the next couple of weeks to months whether Atlanta believes in Desmond Ridder or not. If they don't, then that tells us a lot. That what. If you would have got Desmond Ridder, everybody would have been pointing at you, Mike Vrabel, and said, look, you shouldn't have drafted this guy. So better that, in the sense that John got his way and he drafted Malik, and now John's gone. So you're not on the hook for that pick. But I don't know. Again, I said this earlier with Mike. If I think it will start to look more of how Mike wants it to look. Not to say it doesn't, because I'm sure, the guys that were drafted, some of them had to be guys that Mike wanted to. The way he has the building sort of structured, it's probably the way he wants it. The coaches, obviously, are the coaches that he handpicked. I'm pretty sure, I believe. So, yeah, I think the longer he stays here, the more and more it will look like a Mike Vrabel type of, building. And I'm just saying the people that are directly in touch with the players, whether it be the equipment guy, training guy, the guys in the weight room, the lunch, the cafeteria people, people like that. everybody that has to do something directly with the players, I think it will start to look more like what Vrabel wants to look. And that's cool. That's great. I mean,
it's not a good or bad thing.
Yeah,
at this
it's
point.
just as long as he's not trying to step in their lane. And from what we've heard, he said, like, listen, no, I'm not trying to do that. We are going to hire good people, and we expect them to do their job. That's not my space or place to get in their business. We hire them to do a good job. There are people that are going to be in charge of that. So let them handle it. Let them handle this over here. I handle what? The players and getting them to play and who we draft. That's going to be between Rand and I. So it's not a bad thing. I'm bummed that Haas is not there anymore. But, I think, that building being more of an extension of Vrabel's personality, it's not a bad thing. If they're winning and things are flowing and the guys like it and the guys have everything that they need when they go in that building, then fine. Let's roll.
It's hard to know. Like, Vrabel's done a pretty good job at not expressing with any real detail publicly that he covets full control, right?
Mm-hmm.
He always stresses collaboration. Hey, we're in this as a team, and I think that's true. And I think Charles Robinson is definitely on. When you're older and you have a hand in hiring the next GM, it's logical that there's going to be a little seniority. That if you're Rand Carthon, you're probably going to defer to Mike Vrabel some. I think this is how the nature of the hire goes. If it had been the other way around, if Rand Carthon was older, had been here for 5 or 6 years, and then hired his next coach, it would be the other way, right? And that's why it's always tricky when the coaches get a little bit more seniority and control. How does that work? We can cite examples where both models can work. So I don't put the Haas thing in the same category. I just think I don't think we know enough to know whether this is some sign of Vrabel taking control. I just think it's natural, right? It's just a little more natural that Vrabel probably just graduates up with more seniority, a good track record of success, and a lot of new people coming in there.
But
I don't know if it will notice a huge difference, but I do think with personnel decisions, it's logical. He's going to have more say.
I think every head coach, comes into a building, and he wants to get a lay of the land. He wants to get the feel of what's going on around here. But then ultimately he wants to sort of, move everybody in his direction. That's what any coach that come in. I've experienced it at the college level when Nick Saban came in.
Heard of him.
It brought in Manning, the weight trainer, weight coach. Coach Manning is awesome. I can tell you some stories about Coach Manning. But Coach Manning was awesome, and he's still there. But when Nick came in, it was a pivot. He wanted everything, to be more what he was used to and his liking, and it's okay. Everybody. What did they say when a new coach came in? Everybody has to buy into the culture, not just the players. It's everybody that has anything to do with the players. You got to buy into the culture. You got to buy into what I'm preaching, to what I'm doing, to what I'm saying. Everybody has to buy in. So Vrabel's not any different from Nick Saban when he had to do it at Michigan State. When Bill Belichick had to do it, and because when Bill took over, he was coming in after Parcells. So I'm sure there are things that he ultimately wanted to change, and look what it got him. 6 Super Bowls. So every coach comes in trying to figure out the lay of the land, and then wanting to sort of, get everybody to buy into what, he's thinking, and try to pivot everybody toward that way, because obviously what the last coach was doing wasn't working, or it did, but now it got to a point where it just wasn't working anymore. So I'm not surprised that, there's a potential of Vrabel wanting to get everything his way. He should. He's the head coach, so everything should be more in line with what he's thinking.
Yeah, and it's a change. Whether that's a good change or a bad change, we're not going to know the answer to that right now. We'll know in a few years, and that's also understanding too. if Mike Vrabel, and that's just if, that's Charles Robinson's assumption of it. It's kind of my assumption of it as well. That if Mike Vrabel is head dog, he's the one calling the shots, then that's also with the understanding that if things don't go right, then he's the one on the chopping block. I don't think Rand Carthon is going to be the one if things don't go right, I don't think the Titans would part ways with Rand Carthon. That's Vrabel understanding with more responsibility, with more power. Also comes, more fingers pointed at you if things don't go the right way. 615-737-1025 is our phone number. Back into your phones, plus an event this weekend that I just don't think has any sort of pomp and circumstance around it. Maybe I'm wrong, and we'll discuss coming up next. It's Caroline, Willy, D-Mase, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
Every Wednesday at 8:30. Join Robbie and Rexroad for The Choice is Yours.
2 sports questions, 2 non-sports questions.
They'll answer a couple of questions about life and sports. The Choice is Yours is built by Jarrett Companies. You have a choice. So when you have a need for site and utility work, fire protection, concrete and asphalt services, the choice is simple. It's Jarrett Companies. For more, visit JarrettCompaniesInc.com. The choice is yours. Wednesdays at 8:30 on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
There's never a good time for your furnace to go out, especially in the winter, but it's always a good time to call Lee Company. Our heating and air conditioning pros are available 24/7. No heat? Don't wait. Call Lee Company now at 615-567-1000. Our expert technicians will diagnose the issue and fix it right the first time. When you're cold, you need someone you can count on to bring the heat. Call Lee Company now at 615-567-1000 or visit leecompany.com.
Bob's Steak and Chop House in the Omni Nashville Hotel.
Hi, this is Chef Mark at Bob's Steak and Chop House at the Omni Hotel. Looking for a romantic dinner with that special someone? Be sure to join us and try one of our signature dishes, like our Australian cold water lobster tail, blast fried to perfection, and tossed in lemon butter. Did I also mention we've won the Wine Spectator Award of Excellence 7 consecutive years? Come join us for a memorable meal here at Omni and be sure to ask for Chef Mark.
Attending an event downtown? Dine at Bob's Steak and Chop House in the Omni Nashville Hotel.
What's up, Nashville? Jeremy here at Blend Bar with Davidoff Cigars. We are a trendy, upscale, full-service bar and cigar lounge in the heart of downtown. 2 blocks from Bridgestone Arena, Ryman Auditorium, and Nissan Stadium. Come check out the best old-fashioned in Nashville and let my excellent staff create your next luxury experience. With our state-of-the-art ventilation system and imported leather furniture, make us your next stop for a night out on the town. Blend Bar with Davidoff Cigars. We are luxury redefined.
Hey, it's John Tesh. You want to know how to get better rates, better coverage, and better service on your home and auto insurance? Work with Zander Insurance. I know it's a big promise, but this team delivers. They've been around for almost 100 years and have earned the privilege of representing dozens of insurance companies so they can shop, compare, and find you the best options available. More options mean more savings, and in many cases, better coverage. But it doesn't stop there. Each year, they review your coverage to make sure your rates stay competitive. Nobody else does that. And when it comes to service, just check out their ratings. Zander is one of the top agencies in the industry, and they earned that spot with their commitment to making sure their clients are taken care of like family. That's what sets them apart. Go to Zander.com for quick online quotes or call 800-356-1780 for that personal touch that you've been missing.
Will they find a home? Sponsored by Geico. Sarah wants a yard. My own little paradise. Brad, however, hates yard work.
The only thing I hate more than cutting the grass is paying someone to cut the grass.
Compromise is tough, but these two won't have to compromise when they bundle home and car insurance with Geico. It's easy, and they could save even more. In the end, Sarah and Brad found a great home with a yard. A very, very small yard.
Time to get it done. And I'm done.
Bundling without compromise at Geico.com.
Sometimes he gets lonely and needs some company.
10 for 17 for 45 yards in his career with 1 interception.
This is one of those years where it's a step back for them.
And that'll create more one-on-one situations and make it easier for him to throw the ball down the field.
It's Stillman and Company.
You've got real talent.
With Jared Stillman. Weekdays from 2 to 6 on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game. And the Game Nashville app. Having some fun in the midday.
Okay, that's really fun.
This is Caroline, Willy, and D-Mase.
It's a good source of energy because it's live.
On 102.5 and 106.3 The Game. And the Game Nashville app.
Listen, Derek,
You've thrown touchdown passes in Vegas before. You've been on fire. Have you ever been that hot in Las Vegas?
Not that hot. It's probably why I'm going somewhere else.
Bro.
There you go. That was Derek Carr at the Pro Bowl games last night. And I did watch it. And I will admit, I watched a good bit of it. And I'm not proud of it. But I was bored. But the Pro Bowl's on Sunday. And I just have zero desire. Really, I've never cared about the Pro Bowl when it was an actual football game. And now that it's a tic-tac-toe competition, a tetherball competition, I really have zero interest. Now, the NHL All-Star Game, I think, is going to be interesting this weekend. And I know that's a lot of eyes will be on that as well. But I look at the Pro Bowl, zero interest. And I do wonder, do the players care?
Have they ever cared?
Yeah, that's another thing. Have they ever cared? I mean,
No.
Troy Aikman
That's why
left.
there's no game, is because they've never cared.
Yeah.
And nobody wants to get hurt. I admire that they're trying to have an event. They're doing the best they can. And a test pattern, if it just says on the test pattern, we're talking about the NFL, somebody will watch, right? They know that. So, look, I can remember as a kid, I actually, when I discovered, they used to play the Pro Bowl the week after the Super Bowl, and they had a fair amount of the top players actually play what looked like to me as a kid something similar to a real game. It was not quite as intense, but they played. So I watched it back then, but once it got to a point where it wasn't for real, I kind of tuned out. I
think there was a time where the Pro Bowl was a little bit more prestigious, where guys felt like, man, this is a real honor, to go and wanted to go. Like when I was nominated to my first Pro Bowl, I was excited, really excited, because that's like your peers recognizing you, and I know it does have to do with some fan voting too.
The honor is something.
The honor is something. But then, for me, I think the fun part about it, my first one, was obviously making it, and then making it with the guys that I made it with. Steve McNair, Samari Rowe, who else? Keith Bullock, I think, was on that. Brad Hopkins. So it was a group of us that all made it together, and that made it special. I believe that was my first one. And just watching over the years, Jerry Rice and Tim Brown and these guys making it, and watch them in the game, because I used to watch the Pro Bowl back then because it was exciting. And when I got in the game, it was like I took it as a game. I wanted to play, go in and play. And then, making that second Pro Bowl, it still was exciting because it was like, okay, what I did for the season, it meant something. And now I get an opportunity, not just, I've caught passes all year from Steve. That's great. Now I possibly get to pass from Peyton Manning or something. Then I did catch a pass from Peyton Manning. So it was just like, yes, finally, yes, caught one. But I think now it's so diluted. It's diluted to a point where when you're watching it, these guys are not playing hard. 20 years ago, 25, 30 years ago, there may have been some guys that wasn't playing as hard, but you really couldn't tell, by watching it. Now you can tell.
Yeah.
You really can tell that these guys are not playing hard. And so much so that guys are opting out of it. You got guys like Huntley for the Baltimore Ravens.
They're back.
He made it.
Derek Carr.
He made it to the Pro Bowl. Who else somebody else from the Titans just made it? Was it Ben Jones? Ben Jones made it, and he's been hurt a lot of the times. I don't know if he's going to play or not. I'm sure he's taking it as an honor, but a lot of these guys are sort of walking away from the Pro Bowl, and then you got to go, okay, does this guy want to play? No, he doesn't want to play. Does this guy? So you're basically down to the fourth or fifth person.
Josh Allen's playing golf at Pebble Beach this weekend.
Yeah, so
he was asked, and he was like, no, I'm good. I'm just going to go play golf this weekend.
You used to have to sort of pretend you were hurt.
Exactly.
Or, hey, I got an injury. I got to take care of this thing with my shoulder or whatever. It's,
I'm going to be sick that day.
Because even the Super Bowl
now
guys had to come.
Well, I'm playing golf. You don't even have to make up a good excuse.
Even if you won the Super Bowl, they expected you to come. Tom and them, they would have to come. after winning the Super Bowl. They probably didn't want to, but they had to. So.
And I one texter texts in the text line says, I enjoy the new Pro Bowl format. My kids and I really enjoyed watching it last night, and we'll watch Sunday. It's just fun, and the players look like they're having fun. And that's good. That if it was a thing that guys didn't want to play in because they were afraid of getting hurt or they were playing, at 25, 50%, then yeah, it's good that the league is adapting and it's good that the league is turning it into something. But as much as we put so much weight, at least I know I do, into Pro Bowls and looking at a guy's career, maybe if it's back in a time that I don't remember, I wasn't born, I'm like, oh, he was named to 4 Pro Bowls. Like, that's really impressive. That's when you know that they were at a certain echelon of a player. That when that doesn't have as much weight anymore, or when you are a pro bowler and then you're going out and playing dodgeball, it just doesn't carry the same oomph.
It doesn't. And the bad part about, like, back 30 years ago when I was still playing, the bad part about the Pro Bowl is guys, when they got named to the Pro Bowl, they went. So that alternate or that second alternate, they never got to go. But they may have had Pro Bowl honors. They put up Pro Bowl numbers, but they would never go. So I don't necessarily look at guys' Pro Bowls, especially not now. Look at their Pro Bowls and say, oh, this guy's been to X amount of Pro Bowls. If you're not Tom Brady or somebody like that, okay. But some of these other guys, because there were a lot of guys back when I was playing that were really damn good, like B-Hop. Should have been to more than the Pro Bowls he'd been to. But it were some Hall of Fame tackles that were playing during his period. During the time that B-Hop was playing. It didn't diminish how good B-Hop was, but it was almost they overshadowed because they were great and somebody had to be left out.
Right.
It wasn't like we had a lot of great tackles, in the AFC back then when B-Hop was playing. So he couldn't go every year. There were some guys that were going every year. So when I look at that, I'm like, man, this guy deserved to go, but because of the era we were playing in, he didn't go because those guys couldn't opt out. They had to play. Now, Huntley he will have on his resume Pro Bowler.
Yeah.
Mac Jones last year was
exactly.
a Pro Bowler.
Pro Bowler, like you don't even deserve to make it.
There's endless examples.
Exactly.
Of that.
So it's just like it's a little bit unfair, but oh well.
It's the way that it is now. NHL All-Star Game this weekend as well. Roman Yossi's in South Florida. UC Saros is in South Florida. Am I missing anybody?
I think it's just Saros. I don't think Yossi.
I thought he was.
There.
I thought he was named at least to the All-Star roster. I may have been wrong.
Do you know, Nick, off the I think it's just Saros.
No, it's just UC.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
It's very hard because there's so few spots. You're playing the 3-on-3. I think he's an all-star
in our book.
Yes. Yeah. That is going to do it for us today. Stillman and Company is up next. We'll be back Monday at 11 a.m.
Peace.